Hello and welcome to East Boston for our series of the week. 2 season opening matchups between the Boston Forge and the Charlotte Aviators. I'm Ethan Sturm alongside Nick Jablonski. We'll be breaking down all the action for you. And what's going to be an intense matchup, we are going to jump right into it. And we'll catch you up on some of the storylines as we go. Crystal Comp's about to get us started off. It's going to be a run-up between M.Y. Manowar and Carson Olazaba, I believe. Of course, we're still using the traditional brooms up run in MLQ, and it is Manowar who wins the race and gets the ball to Lee Hodge. Meanwhile, a lot of chaos in the beater game. It is going to be bludger control to Boston in the hands of Kieran Collier and Leanne Dillman, the 2 veteran beaters in the rotation. Hodge is going to get the ball down in the back corner to Manowar, and it's going to go back up to Hodge. Olazaba in the green headbands for Boston. The rest of the Boston starters, Morgan Bertram, Zach Doyle, and Ian Skura.
Boston starting in a hyper-conservative 2-2 zone, looking to use that beater advantage.
Yeah, Doyle pushes out now, forces the pass over to Thompson. Thompson's first touch of the game here for Charlotte. Thompson's going to bring it behind the hoops, looking for a passing option. Doyle is marking him hard. A high floater goes out of bounds, and the first possession of our game comes to an end. No, I lied. I believe that might have been saved. We just need a ref call. I think it's going to be a quaffle inbounds. Either way, it's going to be a Boston ball.
Dodgeball control with Charlotte. I loved the fact that they were bringing their beaters deep into the zone and taking advantage of Boston's conservatism there.
Collier and Bonadio take a trade. I do believe that's going to send the beater dodgeball control right back to Charlotte. Oh, it's a missed beat there by Richard, but then Bonadio came back with a dodgeball and cleaned it up. Manowar now has it. 2 failed possessions here. Collier pressing very high. Misses a beat on Thompson, and then Dillman's beat is blocked. Thompson says, I see your dodgeball control, and I raise you a goal. 1-0 Charlotte.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we were concerned about with this Forge team was the physicality, and there was a distinct lack of it there. A lot of hands up to try and block shots. Thompson said, no, thank you, took it right to the hoop.
Yeah, and I think every single beater has missed a throw at this point. It's already actually caused subs out of Boston. Will Andrews now into the game. There's no dodgeball's back, so Skur's going to loft one up to Doyle. Doyle to Olazaba. Olazaba looking to go through Lee Hodge, punches it through. You know, we said a big no dodgeball play there on the other side. Now we get one from Olazaba, who's definitely very talented on the Boston side.
Continuing back into a 2-2, we see the quick release of Doyle there, leading to the goal, something he is famous for in the off-ball play.
Olazaba locking up Hodge. Andrews doesn't want to press too high with the bludger control. Dillman alongside. Dillman's played the whole game. Andrews came in for Collier after the first couple possessions. Pass in the corner there is handled. Pass back up top. Exchange of beats there. Thompson now has the ball. He has one already. Tries to rip a second. No good. Manowar, though, with the rebound. Gets it over to Hodge. Hodge now has no dodgeballs around and puts it through. 2-1 Charlotte.
Yeah, the Charlotte team just playing with more energy right now, I think. I think they are continuing to push the pace, getting attacking offensive rebounds, and again, no real attempts to hit there from the Boston Forge.
Yeah, and they did it all without dodgeball control for a second time. I believe that's 2 non-dodgeball control goals already for Charlotte. You know, I don't think they're going to have the highest percentage of it in this series, so they're going to need to keep finding those goals if they want to hang tough. Doyle now has the ball in the wing, gets it up to Olazaba. Louis Shu now into the game alongside Will Andrews. Richard beats out Doyle. That does create a no-beater situation briefly, but Olazaba can't capitalize. Now tries to work around a screen from Morgan Bertram, but eventually the ball goes to Skura as a beat attempt on Richard is knocked down. A nice block. Bonadio trying to fight back control. Now players are getting beat off of the hoops. That allows Olazaba to go all the way and puts it through. You know, Charlotte being conservative, but also willing to put its beater into more dangerous spots. Olazaba's the one capitalizing on it.
Yeah, that Trees defense from Charlotte, they looked a little reticent to leave their hoops. In that situation, you have to leave the hoop contest high, otherwise it's a free goal.
First sub in the beater game here for Charlotte. It's going to be Lauren Hirsch taking over for Richard, and Joe Goldberg taking over for Bonadio. Dodgeball control, though, has been with Boston basically all game. No real subs yet in the quad ball game for Charlotte. Manowar looking to work on Skura, floats one over the top, and that is put away there by Melissa Ross, her first of the season. Back in top is Charlotte 3-2.
A no dodgeball situation here. Taylor Crawford, famous for his drives, looking to capitalize.
Oh, an attempt there by Hodge to get a hand on him is to no avail. 3 times now, Boston has just relied on the most physical player they have on the pitch to put it away.
Yeah, and for a team that famously is very strong passing, it seems like they're really not looking to pass nearly as much as we would think.
Yeah, but I mean, it's because they've created nothing but no dodgeball situations, right? I mean, they've been able to do that consistently because they've had dodgeball control and because in this hoop zone, Charlotte is not necessarily holding down their own hoops. Crawford's first. Olzaba has 2.
Just as you talked about, we now are seeing the first quad ball subs for Charlotte coming in.
Yeah, it's going to be Ryan Davis coming onto the pitch alongside Adeline Morris. Jared Woodard on the wing as well. Morris has it up top. Gets it down to Woodard. Woodard, nobody around. Bounces off Athena Mayer. There is an exchange in the dodgeball game. Lewis Shue a little slow in the exchange. Oh, that's ripped. I do not think it went through the hoop now. And now Crawford's going to get a chance to go the other way. Joe Goldberg's coming back into the play. Crawford doesn't see him, but the ball does go to Tyler Beckman. Beckman's now going to try his luck in a no dodgeball situation. Goes through Ryan Davis and scores. First lead of the game for Boston.
Yeah, and again, the physicality there. I did like that Charlotte did tackle in that situation. 2 great tackles to force the issue.
Now it's Ryan Davis bringing up the quad ball. First time Charlotte is facing a deficit, but they do have dodgeball control for one of the first times all game. Goldberg and Hirsch able to get it on that last possession. Morris gets it down in the corner to Davis. Taylor Crawford marking him seemingly anywhere he goes on the field. Back up to Morris. Morris has a ton of space. Going to take it before getting it over to Woodard. Woodard now driving the lane. No dodgeballs around, but it's stuffed at the hoops by Beckman. And it's Crawford coming up with the rebound. It's going to be Hirsch who's going to need to get back into the play here, or Goldberg, because Crawford just goes right past the beat and puts it home. It's been a wave of goals now out of the Boston side.
Still only up 2, though. This game hangs in the balance. I loved what I saw out of Charlotte there. The nice screen on the hoops defender there, just not put home. I don't know if Boston's going to be able to adjust with this lineup they have out now for that situation.
Just a quick stoppage by the head ref just to make sure we have the hoops in the correct positions. Cody Lebov coming onto the pitch now for the first time at beater, so we'll see if that can kind of switch things up. They have been able to get dodgeball control finally. It's just a question of can they now use it to create goals? And the issue we've seen so far from the second line is the passing hasn't been quite as crisp as that first line.
See, I disagree with you. I think the passing is sharp. It's the finishing at the hoops ability that I think we're seeing a little bit of a lack of, right? Manoar and Hodge, both very strong in those driving situations. A little bit of a lack of that, but the ball movement is still good. That last one, we saw stuff at the hoops, but it was there that they got to the hoops off of the great ball movement. This Boston zone is collapsing to the players behind the hoops, and they're sending all of their players to the players behind the hoops, and I think that if they don't adjust and continue to keep people up, we're going to see opportunities for Charlotte.
Yeah, and you know, if you were with us last week for our Series of the Week, we saw 2 very veteran teams in Washington and New York. There's a lot of new faces in these 2 franchises. On the Boston side, a lot of it is in the beater game, and on the Charlotte side, a lot of it is in the quad ball game. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about those new faces as they come out. Woodard, someone who didn't play a ton of minutes last year for Charlotte, is one of those new faces. Has the ball behind right now. Andrew Biddles is now in the game at beater for Boston. Davis now has the ball in the same spot Woodard had it. More exchanges, this time by Aaron McCready, who's also in the game. Ryan Davis, the backhanded shot goes wide. Woodard trying to keep it in bounds, does so. And Mickey Harrelson is right around there to make sure that her players are safe. Woodard across to Davis. Braxton Hale, the 4th player on this line, I don't think has had a touch yet. Oh, that one's bobbled and just picked up there a little bit too easy, and a mistake turnover. Peter Lawrence comes up with the turnover.
And Lebov is everywhere on this pitch right now. We talked about the veteran beater core. Lebov, arguably one of the most veteran beaters in the sport, continues to be everywhere on this field.
And it forces the turnover. Nicely cleaned up, and now it's going the other way. Ryan Davis, the mid-range, can't get it to go. That is Ryan Davis's game. It's very important that they start feeling those shots going early, so it's a tough miss for them.
Yeah, and last year this series was defined by Davis not hitting those shots. If they see 1 or 2 go in, look for Charlotte to continue to score.
And, you know, it is very fresh for Davis, coming off of an injury that cost them a lot of their USQ season. So obviously kind of first reps in that game speed. It's always going to be a little tricky.
Absolutely.
Pass goes behind. No, it doesn't. Woodard, can't quite get a hand on it. That was a chance for a very free turnover. Now it's Greenhouse coming in off the wing. Hale tries to make the wrap. Davis also can't quite get a hand on it, and Beckman puts it home. That was a possession of so close for Charlotte, but not to be.
Yeah, and we talk about the having to crash and attack the zone. Greenhouse did that perfectly in that situation. Force the zone to look to him, swing to Beckman, easy shot.
Greenhouse has been so important in the offense of Boston over the past season and a half as some of those other veterans have aged out, just to have those smarts of how to attack every defense the right way. Charlotte now has the ball. It's now 6-3 suddenly. Boston getting a little bit comfortable here. Pass goes behind. Woodard has it. Woodard trying to get by Lawrence. It's an arm tackle that does bring him down, but I think there's going to be a call for kind of getting up in the air there on that tackle.
Yeah, I think Lawrence, a bit of a card-happy player all across the board. In that situation, pushed the boundary a little too far.
Yep. So it's going to be the first power play of the afternoon here. Charlotte really could use a conversion because I believe it's probably been a 4-0 run for Boston since it was 3-2. Woodard's going to have a lot of space to work with. The shot at minimum is probably going to be open to him. Also is going to have Adeline Morris at the near hoop, though I think Mayer might be crashing down that. The ball's actually going to go over to Hale. Hale gets it back to Woodard. Woodard to Davis. Davis now needs to get it through a very narrow spot and does it. We talked about Davis finding his shot. Finds a big one there.
We talk about watching easy ones go in. That was not an easy one. Tipped on the way in, continues through the hoop. Don't know why it wasn't straightened at the stoppage, but Davis didn't care.
Yeah, you could see, Davis was definitely sizing that hoop up that entire stoppage. Two really nice passes to move it over. And it's also going to be a dodgeball turnover. Didn't hear the exact reasoning from head ref Crystal Comp, but either way, things now breaking a little bit Charlotte's way. See if they can make the most of it. We do get more subs here on the Boston side. Will Richardson entering the game. His first ever minutes with the Boston program. Collier now in at beater as well. And Dillman comes back into the game for her second shift. Labov, almost wins the exchange with Collier. It's all dodgeballs on the ground. It will mean dodgeball control to Boston. To Boston. Harrelson now has the only dodgeball for Charlotte. She makes sure Skura is taken out of the play. That's going to give Greenhouse some room to operate potentially. Ball goes over to Richardson. And we're going to get a stoppage, and I think we're going to have a little conversation. An illegal swat called on Harry Greenhouse. Greenhouse, one of the most famous swatters of the ball before swatting was legal in the sport. Now with it legal in the sport, still does find a way to get in the book for one. Of course, while we say legal, it does have to be on your first contact. If it hits your chest first before the swat, it is still illegal. Probably what put Greenhouse in the box. Harrelson does throw back to Labov.
Yeah, I'm not loving this passivity from Boston right now. A lot of standing around, a lot of moving the ball to not dangerous locations and not acting off of that.
Richardson has it on the near side. Behind Sierra Delk, her first touch of the season. Richardson has Hale marking. Goes over to Skura. Still a hoop zone from Charlotte. It's no bludger. No. And I think that Cody Labov effectively sold some illegal contact on the side of Kieran Collier. A little Miami Heat-esque there from Cody Labov.
I don't think that was selling anything. There was no ball in sight. Kieran Collier dragging Labov away. I think that's a fair ask for a card there, and it looks like Labov's going to get that call.
Let me rephrase. The contact was illegal. Labov definitely made sure everyone knew it was illegal.
There we go. Yeah, that one I'll agree with.
So that's going to be 2 in the box for Boston. Should be almost an automatic goal here. Dillman does have a ball on the near side. Hale has the ball. Skura is the only one to beat in front. Richardson, though, is fast on the far side, does get back in the play. Hale goes past Skura. Skura, ball goes across to Woodard. Beautiful fast break, Charlotte. They're on the board. It's back within 1. And most importantly, that's only going to release Harry Greenhouse. Kieran Collier stays in the penalty box.
Yeah, and this is not what you want to see in a world with no resets, right? A beater in the box, a goal given up the other way. Not what you like to see for your Boston.
Yeah, but we've seen that hoop zone exclusively from Charlotte. Are they going to break it against one beater? And it looks like the answer is no.
No, but you're going to see Labov start to step up high where he is so comfortable playing.
Yeah, but without any help, I don't think he's going to be able to successfully stop Boston from killing this penalty, as they're just passively moving the ball around the outside. And this time, I think correctly so, unlike the last possession.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you need to do when you're down a beater in this situation, for sure.
Skirt to Greenhouse. Goes a little high. Greenhouse has it. Greenhouse thinking shot. Goes shot right through the middle hoop. Ryan Davis, a lot of talents. Height not one of them. Right past him.
Yeah, and we admonished Boston for their passivity earlier. Greenhouse there, not passive at all. Cutting across to a dangerous space, forcing the zone to flip, and then hitting the shot when it's open.
Yeah, Greenhouse opens his account for the 2023 season. Of course, many goals over his long career, both in MLQ and USQ. And a lot of flag runner grabs as well.
This is the marquee pair we wanted to see for Charlotte, though. LeBeau and Richard out there. Long tenured partners. Played a lot of minutes together. Let's see if they can assert their ability on the pitch.
And in front of a lot of very young players, Curran White is the one up top. Burrow Womack now has it. Greenhouse tries to initiate contact, does get it, goes right to Ian Skura. Skura knocks down the beat from Richard. Oh, called beat. Matt Shaw picks it up for Charlotte, tries to go by. Delk does. Oh, it's a lot of contact by Greenhouse. I think Greenhouse could possibly get 2 cards on this play, but I think in the end he's probably going to get 1.
Yeah. Yeah. There was, just so you're aware, there was a second beat there from LeBeau that did hit Skura. Clearly the block was clean.
Yeah, it makes sense. So this is going to be an opportunity for Matt Shaw, the young player of the UNC Chapel Hill program, to get his first goal.
Yeah, and last week you talked a lot about wanting to see generate high steps. We saw one out of Shaw.
Shaw goes high across to Womack. Womack recovers. Richardson steps out. Womack goes by him. Womack to the middle hoop. Oh, it's not to be. Good opportunity. Goes awry, but we like to see a player cut into the hoop there.
Yeah. I would like to see after the high step attempt there. I mean, maybe getting a couple of knocks from Greenhouse there made them a bit more reticent to drive. But Shaw, right there, you gotta put the ball through the hoop.
Yeah, and I like to see Toby Jenkins now in on the middle hoop for Charlotte. A little bit more height on that middle hoop than Ryan Davis is offering. Boston's once again dealing with being in the box. Skura just goes right past Shaw, but then just drifts a pass passively to Richardson. Richardson gets beat, and this is going to be a fast break opportunity here for Charlotte because Cody LeBeau did a great job of keeping the bludger out of the play. Womack goes coast to coast. Meanwhile, Richard absolutely wins a battle with Dillman that's going to mean bludger control for Charlotte. Everything going Charlotte's way on that possession.
Yeah, and if you're Boston, this is not how you wanted your season to start. You were looking here to establish that you are a competitor for a finals berth again. And right now, they're looking a little bit disorganized.
7-6 Boston, 6 Charlotte goals from 6 Charlotte players. Mo Bertram now back in the game, her second shift. Greenhouse still out there. I mean, Greenhouse has been so important to what this team's been doing offensively. Considered a pass to Bertram, now takes it. Bertram can't come up with that one cleanly. Now it's Doyle who has it. Doyle over to Greenhouse. Greenhouse back to Doyle. Doyle over the top to Skura. Skura dodges the beat, but the shot is blocked. Greenhouse, though, gets it. Oh, Greenhouse puts it off the tee. And it's going to be Toby Jenkins falling on it and Cody LeBeau cleaning it up.
Yeah, and we saw a Montero throwback there. Boston seems a little nervous about giving up these no dodgeball opportunities the other way. I wonder if their strategies changed.
Mo Bertram, a big hit there on Shaw. Shaw's eaten some big contact in his first game in MLQ, but is bringing the ball up now. Gets it over to Jenkins. Harry Greenhouse, another big hit. Now it's the high press from Boston, but it is cleaned up by the beaters. Bonadio now in alongside Richard. Charlotte, a chance to even this one up. It's going to be White driving. White takes a big hit, and I think Greenhouse might be picking up second yellow. Greenhouse might not be able to play much more in this game.
Greenhouse is famous for sort of waiting till the last second and maybe letting players beat him around the corner and then continuing the hit through. That situation gets called for it.
And there's definitely some frustration there from Greenhouse at this point. It'll be interesting to see how head coach Tom DeMuth handles this situation because, like we said, Greenhouse has been this team's offense in a lot of ways so far this game.
Yeah, I don't know how you keep him out. You basically have to put him in potentially a hoops defense situation, which is not Greenhouse's strength. You want him out in the field playing point defender.
All right. So we are going to get an injury sub. White's going to come out. Melissa Ross, who has 1 goal to her name already, coming back in. Still, it's actually a loose third bludger. It's going to be a race for it between Bonadio and Shu. And Bonadio's going to win that race. Meanwhile, Womack has the ball behind us, tucked the ball in, trying to go all the way through. Gets around Bertram, puts it through. That's Womack's second. We are knotted up at 7.
An exciting game to start this. Both teams coming out with something to prove. Charlotte with a quarterfinals berth last year. Their second quarterfinals berth, but both times their season ended there. This year, a younger team maybe looking to push further.
Yeah, this team was so built around that Terminus core in its early years, but what this team showed and one of the reasons they became a full franchise is the ability to go for growth, the ability to let young players develop. As I speak about that, Doyle's looking to go in all the way, puts it through the far hoop, just like that, Boston back out on top.
Yeah, Doyle, known for his catch and release ability, in that situation, catches the ball, able to take a step and score with ease. Doyle
was the most important wing player that Boston had last year.
Not present at Nationals either. Was busy getting married. Yep. Congratulations.
Doyle, one of those players who does not play USQ, only plays the 3 or 4 months of the MLQ season.
Does play for Bosnia, but not necessarily
very lightly.
Most, yeah.
Jenkins has the ball on the near side, trying to go through Skura. Skura does. Ross this time takes another hard hit, gets the ball across, though. It is going to be Ross with it. Ross gets it back to Womack. Womack looking for a hat trick early in a foot race with Lawrence. Lobs it over the top, not to be. Shaw and Skura now in a race, and Skura just wins the shoulder push and does a little trick shot through. Boston back up 2.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of ball movement there, but a lot of good coverage. Great zone shifts by Boston there.
Yep. Yeah, and, we've seen Charlotte have to run slightly longer shifts in the quad ball game, and Boston, with the exception of maybe that greenhouse shift, running slightly shorter. That could have been the difference in that foot race there between Shaw and Skura.
Mm-hmm.
Thompson now back in the game. High press, first time we see it from Boston. Shu makes the easy beat. Peter Lawrence going the other way. It's Lawrence who just takes the beautifully set screen by Mo Bertram, goes right to the hoop, puts it through.
Yeah, I mean, screens in transition. If you can't fill the lanes, we talked about it on the breakdown, you got to set picks. If you're in the lane with the driver, Bertram did a beautiful job with that.
Huge performance there from Boston, responding to that run that got Charlotte back in the game. It was 7-7, and in the blink of an eye, it was 10-7.
Yeah, and we're seeing a sort of 3 trees defense right now, a Baylor zone out of Boston, and that's interesting. I mean, this is a team that last year wanted to play a lot of mark, wanted to play hyper aggressively.
Yeah. Hodge has the ball on the near side. Hodge, the head coach of this team, also one of its star players. Monowar back in the game as well. Now trying to drive through. Does get by Olazaba. Is being tracked by Montero, but eats a huge hit from Zach Doyle. Big play there by Doyle. Can Boston go in transition now? Joe Goldberg has the only dodgeball back, and I think Boston is going to choose to slow it down and use their dodgeballs on offense. Olazaba and Lawrence with the ball up top. Bertram and Doyle behind. Shu and Montero are now the beaters, and they've been keeping ball control for a few possessions now. Hirsch pressuring Shu. Lawrence tries the mid-range shot. Not the best look there. Now we get exchange in a change in dodgeball control, though. Shu assesses the situation well and cleans it up.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely miscommunication on the Boston side. Doyle with a 2-armed push on the far wing hoop defender, and Lawrence shooting on the completely wrong hoop there.
Yep. Quick subs here from Boston once again in the dodgeball game. What do you think about the fact that the overall piece of this, the way these teams are piecing their defenses is so different than a lot of what we saw in week 1?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of it. I mean, these are teams that both should be wanting to try and see what the other team can do against a high-press defense. We've seen what they do against zones all the time. Right there, a great look from Hodge, just not to be.
Yeah, and now Boston looking to get out in transition once again. It's going to be Lawrence trying to set a screen on Manowar for Olazaba. Olazaba, though, floats the high pass, wastes opportunity. A couple wasted possessions here for Boston after they were getting more efficient on the offensive side again.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you want to see what the other team does. Right now both teams have seen these teams play against zones. We know what they want to do against zones. You want to see what they do against something different.
Yeah, but you are correct. I don't think we've seen one press outside of that kind of half-hearted Cody LeBove press in that last shift. Goldberg's behind the beaters. Does win an exchange with McCready, but it's not going to matter. Doesn't have not enough help. But in the meantime, Thompson zips one to the near hoop, and it's going to go out of play. Thompson thought it was good. Crystal Comp disagreed. More play in the beater game. Hirsch trying to win an exchange. Gets the ball back as she eats a hit from Aaron McCready. Joe Goldberg, though, now is in a foot race with McCready, trying to get blood control. Misses. Oh, no, does hit the beat.
What a great throw by Goldberg there. Doesn't have to run any further than he has to. In warm-ups, he ran after a ball that I was going to get for him, telling me I got to be punished for my bad throws. Definitely got him all out early.
Bertram with the ball on the near side. It's currently a 3-goal margin. We don't have exact time over here, but should be getting closest to 20 minutes. Ryan Davis has the yellow headband on, obviously one of the real weapons in the seeking game in the whole league and definitely in this game. Bertram bring it down, gets it behind to Richardson. Andrews took a ball off of Goldberg, does eat some contact, but I think Dillman's going to be able to clean it up. Leaves Hirsch on an island. Richardson, though, tries the mid-range shot into a hoop zone, and Thompson shuts the door. I think that's going to be 20 minutes is the call we're waiting for. It is. So just, mis-execution down the stretch from Boston when I really think they could have put this game away when they seemed to have really figured out how to stop them on the defensive side, just couldn't keep getting the goals. And it's just a 3-goal margin headed into the 20-minute timeout.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens here. I think that Boston got a very stagnant. Lisa Crusher in the 20-minute mark. We're working. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. Something went wrong with my computer there. They got a little bit stagnant. I mean, we even had a stall warning from Chris Lecomte there, which I don't think we've ever seen out of a Boston team before.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see, what are the adjustments in this series. I think Charlotte is probably happier with that first 20 minutes than Boston. That said, Boston did kind of find its defensive answers after a slow start. I think, Charlotte got out there, scored 3 goals early, and then only 4 goals the entire rest of the period. So, definitely positives to take away from both teams, but I think both teams have adjustments they can make going into game 2.
Yeah, and I think if you were Charlotte and you told them they'd only be down 3 at 20 minutes, they'd take that. This arguably has a team with one of the best seekers in the world present on their roster, and they're starting at 20 minutes.
Yeah, the long-tenured Team USA seeker Ryan Davis will be getting the start, and an opportunity to, if they could catch right away, hypothetically, even out the score. Of course, the thing that always matters in the seeker game is what your beaters are doing for you. And obviously Boston has a lot of talented seeker beaters, headlined by Leanne Dillman, who is on the field now.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting – we're going to see a lot of questions answered in this first bit of the flag runner on pitch.
Yep. Charlotte, I'm interested to see how they run it. I assume they might wait for the beaters to get cleared out by the flag runner game before they try to do anything. Thompson seems a little hesitant about potentially eating some contact from Peter Lawrence. But does have Lee Hodge if he needs him.
Yeah. If you're Charlotte here, do you want to push the pace or do you want to slow things down?
I'm slowing things down for these 10 seconds until the beaters get distracted. I don't think Charlotte can win a no dodgeball contest with Boston, if I'm being honest.
That's fine. We're asking the question. Yeah. I agree with you, though. I would. Honestly, after the 10 seconds, I would just run real quick just to see what Boston is ready to do. This is a lot of younger players right now on the Boston field, and I'm curious to see if they know how to stay composed during a flag runner on pitch period.
But between Olazaba, Lawrence, and Bertram, there's just so much physicality on the field on this Boston side.
And now they're subbing out.
Yeah, so we'll see how things play. It is going to be Taylor Crawford. Definitely not exactly a downgrade.
Now I slow things way down. I slow down.
Okay, so Lee Hodge is going to be bringing it down. Beckman does get beat. He's the starting seeker for Boston. Hodge has the ball, just playing it out to the wing where Manowar is waiting. Manowar is matched up with Poland. Manowar goes right by Poland, right by Peter Lawrence, and puts it through. If you got someone as quick as Manowar on the wing, maybe they can hold up with Boston in this no-budget situation.
Yeah, and Montero and Dillman, the beater pair for Boston currently. Montero, incredibly speedy, incredibly fast, a great flag runner on pitch beater.
Crawford over to Mayer. Oh, Ryan Davis does get in the way. So a bit of a weird interaction there. Ryan Davis, as the seeker, got in the way. Head ref turned it back over to Peter Lawrence, who was kind of in a crowd of players. Did find Taylor Crawford. Crawford puts it through. We're 1-1 in the seeker period and 11-8 overall. That's Crawford's hat trick, first player in the series to 3 goals. Manowar in the corner. Oh, really, really nicely done there. Put through. I believe that was Alan Morris, but it goes right the other way. And Taylor Crawford finds Peter Lawrence.
So we talked about earlier wanting to slow it down. Charlotte doesn't seem like they want to slow it down right now.
Yep. And I apologize. That was Melissa Ross with the first goal and then Peter Lawrence with the second.
Davis getting plenty of time with the flag runner.
And Ryan Davis has the grab. If it's good, we are going to be tied, and it's going to be 1-4 to decide game one of our series of the week. Couldn't ask for much more than that, Nick.
No, this is very exciting. Richard and LeBeau, they're dominating around the flag runner, buying time. LeBeau with a well-timed throw at a chaser to buy some time for the Davis grab.
Yep. Davis with the grab, league leader in grabs last season, put on a clinic last year at Champs, does it again here, gets their team a level. And now it'll be interesting to see, Charlotte has basically its starters on. Do you say this is our opportunity to grab a game and run these starters into the ground here in game one?
I mean, how can you not right
I think
now?
you have to. Dodgeball control with Charlotte. Quad ball control with Charlotte. Lee Hodge with the ball on the far side. Crawford's in the area. Serena Montero, the only dodgeball with Boston, is behind the play currently. Over to Melissa Ross. Melissa Ross, the jump shot is knocked down by Crawford. Missed opportunity there for Charlotte.
Oh, stream is not my fault. Internet, it's getting up to speed again.
Crawford bringing the ball down. Shu now in the game alongside Kieran Collier. 1-4, still the situation. Hodge marking Crawford. Crawford goes behind Mayer. Mayer back up to Crawford. Hodge is in the green headband, can't be beat. The only player not on the hoops in the quad ball game. Mayer pushes Adeline Morris out of the way. Poland has the ball up top. Peter Lawrence now walking it in. Peter Lawrence, the shot off the screen. Can't get it to go. Crawford needs to win the race to the backline. Cannot. It's going to be makes a perfect throwback. Now Collier can create no budgers. Lee Hodge has a chance. The beat goes wide. Lee Hodge floats it. Manowar comes down with it. Goal is good. What composure from Manowar and Hodge. It's what we've seen all game from them. They have been the two stars for this team.
Yeah, and a bit of the old and a bit of the young right there in that situation. And, I mean, again, this Boston team playing a zone, when I think they really want to get out and mark these players.
Yeah. I think the 27-year-old Hodge might take umbrage at you calling him old, but, you know, still a very talented player. But definitely
we'll say long tenure.
Definitely old UNC versus new UNC.
Absolutely.
I will say that. Athena Mayer has the ball up top. It's now just 3 more goals needed for Charlotte, 4 more for Boston. Crawford evens us back up. Manowar goes down hard. Might be a call on the play. If it's good, though, it will be 13 all in a game to 16 here at our series of the week. Goal is good. No call on the play. That is 4 for Crawford. We talked about stars on the other side. Taylor Crawford, unsurprisingly, another Team USA player and the star so far for Boston.
Yeah, and we talk about this young Boston quadball core. Taylor Crawford, I don't think would take umbrage at me calling him not young in this situation. Definitely a long-tenured player, a USQ Nationals champion with the Warriors this year.
He also has 5 years on Lee Hodge, just to be clear.
Very true, very true.
Hodge bringing the ball up. It's now 13 all. Game is to 16. Thompson now has it. Thompson considering his options. No great passing options here against the zone yet. Oh, it's a missed beat there by Richard. It's going to be a press. Can they keep the ball away from these beaters? No. Collier cleans it up. Zach Doyle has a chance to run. Gets it to Skura freshly into the game. Skura has options in transition. Loves to live in transition. Knocks down the shot. Boston just needs 2. Huge play there in the dodgeball game. Collier and Shu pull out the first successful press, I think, of the game right when they needed it most. And Charlotte smartly using its timeout. It is a do-or-die situation. No reason to bring it with you to game 2.
Yeah, this is the correct call by Charlotte. I think they Boston got a little bit of momentum out there, and this is their way to kill it.
Yeah. So we'll see what the plan is. Charlotte has generally been able to find some opportunities to get dodgeball control back in post-defense transitions because Boston is playing their beaters very aggressively on offense, so sometimes right after the play they've been able to get it back. Right now, Boston's been being able to get their beaters back before that can happen in these possessions, or they're happening in transition, so they don't have to bring up that far. So Charlotte needs to figure out a way to either use ball movement or a new strategy in the beater game to actually find a dodgeball turnover that could maybe get them back in this game.
Yeah, I think they need to slow it down a little bit. I know we talked about wanting to play fast. In this situation, they were having success at the beginning of the game by moving the ball around and getting people like Manowar and Hodge in dangerous positions. Right now, Manowar and Hodge are kind of playing up top a little heavily. I would love to see them try and put one of them behind and see what can happen from there.
Yeah. 2 more goals needed here for Boston coming out of the timeout. 3 more for Charlotte. A great game 1 of our series of the week. And I know starting a little late due to weather delays over in Minneapolis, Detroit-Minneapolis will be starting soon. Another great series. All action this year will be on our YouTube channel. We're very excited about that. And so we encourage you to tune into that one. And then Austin and League City are nightcap, the defending champions getting their regular season started.
So if you're Charlotte, what are you doing coming out of this timeout right now without dodgeball control?
You have to move the ball and then drive, but not necessarily actually attack, to force Shu and Kieran Collier to avert their eyes from the beaters. The beaters should not be the one initiating this possession. It has to be initiated by movement from the quad ball players, or Collier and Shu are inevitably going to read it like a book. Lebov, though, is just going to step in. I think she's going to take the exchange. No, she's going to be knocking out Doyle. Pass goes behind to Thompson. Oh, Collier does get beat. I do think it's going to be bludger control. And now it's no bludgers. Thompson puts it through. And that's Charlotte getting everything they need out of the timeout. A huge possession from the Aviators.
Yeah, and arguably your best offensive core on the field right now for Boston. I'm not sure if it's your best defensive core. Obviously, Mayer and Crawford, great defenders out in the field. But Doyle and Skura, not necessarily the most physical options.
That said, Doyle did have a big hit earlier in this game. It is now 1-2. Lebov wins an exchange. Skura floats over the top of Doyle. Doyle rips. Doyle, where he plays best, off ball to Ian Skura. It is now game point, and it's going to be Boston taking dodgeball control off of that exchange. Huge play all around where I didn't think they had any chance off of the press that was so nicely started by Lebov. 1 more goal for Boston. 2 more goals now needed for Charlotte. Bringing the ball down is Lee Hodge, the coach, trying to find 2 more goals. Collier gets beat, trying to step out to the wing. Thompson across. Oh, Doyle comes out of nowhere, knocks it down. It's a race to the ball. Hodge is able to push him off, though. Now has a chance to go the other way. No bludgers. Goes over. Posterizes Mayer. Next goal wins here in game 1.
Dodgeball control for Boston. You got to sell out at this point.
Yeah,
End it now.
Yeah, I mean, hey, they have the timeout now, too. If they want to draw up the play they want to use, it's going to be a beater sub, Biddles and McCready now in, and definitely a specific call is coming from the sideline right now. Definitely seems like a play that they have rehearsed in practice. It is going to be a 1.5. Bonadillo tries to get right, but goes to Mayer. Mayer floats it over the top. Skura has it. Bonadillo's pressing high to Skura, forces the pass. McCready marking Bonadillo. Bonadillo, the only dodgeball, does get Crawford. Is it late? No. Crawford's able to get the ball away. That was very close to a turnover.
Yeah, and if McCready's coming in, the 1.5 is the primary option. A great physical player happened there. Chasers weren't able to capitalize.
Skura with the ball. Its next goal wins here in Boston. Boston's never lost to the Charlotte team. Crawford across to Skura. Exchange of beats. It's going to be no bludgers. Goes to Crawford. Crawford in the lane. Crawford over Davis. Crawford brings it home for Boston. 5 in the game for Crawford, the star from New York, then New Hampshire, now in Boston. Game 1 goes to the Forge.
Is this how you saw it playing out, Ethan? A next goal win scenario? Definitely not what I saw.
Yeah, I mean, we knew Boston was going to be a slightly overall favorite, I think, in the quad ball game, but we knew how dangerous Charlotte was going to be in the flag runner game. And those 3 goals, there's not the easiest thing to push past in every game in 20 minutes because there's just so many things that can come out factors-wise. But really, I think the thing that hurt Boston the most, the thing that kind of helped Charlotte hang in, they picked up way too many cards in the first 10, 15 minutes of this game. That allowed Charlotte to get some goals that made it so that Boston really didn't pull out early.
Yeah, and a thing that I think we talked about earlier is Boston going to solve their flag runner woes? A team famously known for getting it done in the Seeker game struggled a lot last year, starting off the season on the wrong foot.
Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for us here in Game 1. We'll be back in about 15 minutes for Game 2 in an exciting matchup. The Boston Forge take down the Charlotte Aviators 160-155. I'm Ethan Sturm alongside Nick Jablonski. We'll see you back for game 2.
Quadball is a sport that integrates aspects from rugby, basketball, and dodgeball to create a fast-paced, mixed-gender game that features 7 players per side. Okay, so quadball is played on a grass or turf field with 3 hoops of varying heights on each team's half. There's 4 balls in quadball, 1 quaffle, and 3 bludgers, and the players run with brooms between their legs and must complete all the play while on broom. If a player comes off broom at any point, they have to tag the center hoop on their team's half before resuming play. Alright, so there's a lot of different positions. The first 2 are chasers and keepers, known together as quaffle players. They use the quaffle, a slightly deflated volleyball, to try to score through their opponent's hoops. There are 3 chasers per team, and they wear a white headband, and there's 1 keeper per team, and they wear a green headband. The keeper is only different in they can't be interfered with in their team's keeper zone, which is an area around the hoops when they possess the quaffle. On offense, all 4 players move the quaffle by running and passing and shooting to attempt to score. A good goal can be scored from either side of the hoop, and it's worth 10 points. On defense, players can tackle each other, and we're talking full contact to prevent the other team from scoring. Beaters, distinguished by black headbands, use the bludgers, dodgeballs, in attempts to knock out the opposing team's players. Each team has 2 beaters at any given time. A player of any position that is hit by a bludger thrown by the opposing team's beaters must dismount their broom, drop the ball they possess, and tag in on the center hoop before they can rejoin play. Beaters help their quaffle players on offense to clear paths to score, as well as work to stop opposing teams from scoring. Okay, so seekers, the ones with the yellow headband, pursue the snitch runner in an attempt to grab that snitch tail from their shorts, kind of like flag football, in order to earn 35 points for their team. They don't enter the game until after the 20-minute timeout, and they leave the game immediately after a good catch has been recorded. The snitch runner is an impartial official whose sole purpose is to prevent the seekers from catching their snitch tail. They can grab, push, wrap, or run away from the seekers to stop them from catching the snitch. The snitch runner comes onto the field after the 20-minute timeout and stays until they are caught. Quad ball is played in 2 halves. The first consists of a timed 20 minutes, and the second ends only when the set score gets reached. During the first half, the quaffle players and the beaters work together to score goals and stop the other team from scoring goals. When the game clock hits 20 minutes, there's a 2-minute timeout, and that's when the seekers and the snitch runner get introduced. At the same time, they're going to determine the set score. It's determined by taking the total of the leading team's score and adding 60 points. The set score gets indicated on a scoreboard, which will be separate from the game score, and whichever team reaches the set score first, either through only quaffle points or with the addition of that snitch catch, win the game. Quad ball is a sport that integrates aspects from rugby, basketball, and dodgeball to create a fast-paced, mixed-gender game that features 7 players per side. Okay, so quad ball is played on a grass or turf field with 3 hoops of varying heights on each team's half. There's 4 balls in quad ball, 1 quaffle, and 3 bludgers, and the players run with brooms between their legs and must complete all the play while on broom. If a player comes off broom at any point, they have to tag the center hoop on their team's half before resuming play. Alright, so there's a lot of different positions. The first 2 are chasers and keepers, known together as quaffle players. They use the quaffle, a slightly deflated volleyball, to try to score through their opponent's hoops. There are 3 chasers per team, and they wear a white headband, and there's 1 keeper per team, and they wear a green headband. The keeper is only different in they can't be interfered with in their team's keeper zone, which is an area around the hoops when they possess the quaffle. On offense, all 4 players move the quaffle by running and passing and shooting to attempt to score. A good goal can be scored from either side of the hoop, and it's worth 10 points. On defense, players can tackle each other, and we're talking full contact to prevent the other team from scoring. Beaters, distinguished by black headbands, use the bludgers, dodgeballs, in attempts to knock out the opposing team's players. Each team has 2 beaters at any given time. A player of any position that is hit by a bludger thrown by the opposing team's beaters must dismount their broom, drop the ball they possess, and tag in on the center hoop before they can rejoin play. Beaters help their quaffle players on offense to clear paths to score, as well as work to stop opposing teams from scoring. Okay, so seekers, the ones with the yellow headband, pursue the snitch runner in an attempt to grab that snitch tail from their shorts, kind of like flag football, in order to earn 35 points for their team. They don't enter the game until after the 20-minute timeout, and they leave the game immediately after a good catch has been recorded. The snitch runner is an impartial official whose sole purpose is to prevent the seekers from catching their snitch tail. They can grab, push, wrap, or run away from the seekers to stop them from catching the snitch. The snitch runner comes onto the field after the 20-minute timeout and stays until they are caught. Quad ball is played in 2 halves. The first consists of a timed 20 minutes, and the second ends only when the set score gets reached. During the first half, the quaffle players and the beaters work together to score goals and stop the other team from scoring goals. When the game clock hits 20 minutes, there's a 2-minute timeout, and that's when the seekers and the snitch runner get introduced. At the same time, they're going to determine the set score. It's determined by taking the total of the leading team's score and adding 60 points. The set score gets indicated on a scoreboard, which will be separate from the game score, and whichever team reaches the set score first, either through only quaffle points or with the addition of that snitch catch, win the game. Quad ball is a sport that integrates aspects from rugby, basketball, and dodgeball to create a fast-paced, mixed-gender game that features 7 players per side. Okay, so quad ball is played on a grass or turf field with 3 hoops of varying heights on each team's half. There's 4 balls in quad ball, 1 quaffle, and 3 bludgers, and the players run with brooms between their legs and must complete all the play while on broom. If a player comes off broom at any point, they have to tag the center hoop on their team's half before resuming play. Alright, so there's a lot of different positions. The first 2 are chasers and keepers, known together as quaffle players. They use the quaffle, a slightly deflated volleyball, to try to score through their opponent's hoops. There are 3 chasers per team, and they wear a white headband, and there's 1 keeper per team, and they wear a green headband. The keeper is only different in they can't be interfered with in their team's keeper zone, which is an area around the hoops when they possess the quaffle. On offense, all 4 players move the quaffle by running and passing and shooting to attempt to score. A good goal can be scored from either side of the hoop, and it's worth 10 points. On defense, players can tackle each other, and we're talking full contact to prevent the other team from scoring. Beaters, distinguished by black headbands, use the bludgers, dodgeballs, in attempts to knock out the opposing team's players. Each team has 2 beaters at any given time. A player of any position that is hit by a bludger thrown by the opposing team's beaters must dismount their broom.
Hello and welcome back to East Boston for our series of the week between the Boston Forge and the Charlotte Aviators. Game 1 was a classic, coming down to the very last goal. Boston putting it away. Taylor Crawford, 5 goals, including the one that mattered most, a 160-155 win. Now we're going to see what comes out in Game 2. You know, last week in the series of the week, we saw a really closely contested game between New York and Washington, Game 1, and then Washington couldn't get back to that. If Charlotte's going to get back to being competitive with Boston for the next 2 games, what do you need to see from them?
I want to see LeBeau and Richard play a lot more and continue to be arguably the best pair on the pitch.
Yeah. I mean, LeBeau has been comfortable being everywhere. I think all of their beats have been on point. They found the perfect chances to get control. You know, right after that moment where we said Charlotte absolutely needs to get control down the stretch of the last game, they did it. But, you know, the only time they were kind of really struggling a bit down the stretch is when Boston went to that Collier-Shoe line. We talk about, you know, maybe it should be Charlotte, you know, giving more of their stars. Do you want to see a bit more of the stars from the Boston beater core, or do you have any concerns about what we've seen from the Boston beater core so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think they are getting a little bit cute with it. But it's early on in the season. You want to see what you have. We did sort of see a lot of interesting things. I know that this year they've talked about wanting to push their mixed pairs and continue to get everyone to play with everyone, and we're starting to see that. But if you want to really put your foot down, you got to start going to your best.
Yeah. Speaking of bests, when you kind of go down stars in the quaffle game, I mean, the stars were out for Charlotte. Emily Manowar and Lee Hodge had big games. The star was out when it came to Taylor Crawford, but the stars weren't necessarily out for Ian Skur in what was kind of a quiet game for the defending East Division MVP, just 2 goals on the game. What do you want to see from Skur coming out in Game 2?
I mean, Skur had flash plays, great kick ahead to get that easy goal, and continue to look to facilitate. I think that, honestly, I'd love to see Skur play a little bit more off ball, because Charlotte's ganging up and trying to make his life hard on the offensive end, and the easiest way to get that is to catch the ball and attack straight off the catch rather than setting up from the top.
Yeah. And then in the flag runner game, we talked about the recent years of kind of Boston woes in that department. And, you know, it's one thing to say you lose a snitch grab to a really talented seeker in Ryan Davis, but it wasn't Ryan Davis just getting a shot and making it happen. It was Ryan Davis with all the time in the world. What does Boston, can they do or do they need to do differently around the flag runner?
I think their beater-seeker synchronization was a little bit off. For a team that's famous for organizing that and playing that at a high level, it seemed a lot of desynchronization. And part of that is due to the fact that the Charlotte beaters forced them to play almost off of each other. There was a lot of times where the seeker was tagging in and then the beaters were 3 or 4 seconds tagging in behind them, so they couldn't quite get on sync. Maybe take a second, reset up, come back in, and attack together.
Yeah, and then from the Charlotte offense, because it did go into a lagging quiet period in the middle of Game 1, they did kind of find some legs, but you know some of those legs were also in no bludgers with flag runner on pitch. So what do you think we can see offensively from Charlotte a bit more to attack the Boston zones, which we've seen both hoop zone and 2-2 from?
I mean, how many missed shots did Charlotte have? They had a couple of bad ones, but they had a couple that just bounced off the hoop. We saw it last week with the New York-Washington series. New York had 6 or 7 missed shots that were right there on the field for them to have. I think if Charlotte hits a couple of those, we got a game.
Yeah, I think we should just about be getting ready to get started here. I believe we are in a lightning delay still over at the Minneapolis-Detroit series, which is a series I know both of us are extremely excited about. While we hate there to be delays, I think we're kind of excited to be able to watch more of it because what this Detroit team, first of all, Minneapolis is, multiple-time defending North Division champions. Love to watch that team play. But this Detroit team is so exciting and so young, and we're excited to see what they're bringing to the table too.
Yeah, and it's kind of a case of the mystery box, right? We've seen Minneapolis. We've talked about them a lot, and they're returning a lot of the same. They're even adding a couple of players that they didn't have last season that were there for them a couple seasons ago in a super exciting way in Joe Goulet and Henry Bear Benson. But this Detroit team, a lot of these players have never played MLQ and just dominated at their appropriate levels in the USQ seasons, and I'm super excited to see what they do.
Yeah, and I want to see, with a player like Julian Toyerkoff, who I don't think even the best college point defenders could put a hand on this year, what he can do in the club game when it gets a little bit tougher, when everything's, moving a little bit faster. Because we've seen players struggle with that leap, but we've also seen players take that leap. And it's just crazy because, only at it, since this fall, a similar situation with a player in the San Antonio program, Alyssa Viaba, who's also only played one college U.S. quad ball season, looked great for San Antonio last week, in their MLQ game. And I think it's really the most exciting storyline as we see kind of a lot of these college programs recover from that extended COVID break. Seeing all these young players become real contributors on these MLQ teams.
Yeah, and it's a little bit biased for me, but I'm excited to see what Brooke Smiley can do. We didn't get to see a lot of her in the club game this last year, but her few minutes for the Bosnian Bear Sharks were very, very strong. This is her first chance at the MLQ level, and she's coming in with a very strong Detroit core, and if she can take what she took from her Tufts career and bring it up to the MLQ level, super exciting.
Yeah. We're getting stars to the line here for Game 2. Very similar starting lineups from last game. Different in the beater game, though, I believe, for Boston, if I'm remembering correctly. It's going to be Biddles and McCready starting at beater. Olazaba will be the runner for the quad ball again. Doyle, Skura, and Bertram, the rest of the starting lineup in the quad ball game. And over for Charlotte, it's going to be Lee Hodge wearing the green headband. Bonadio and Richard once again starting. In the beater game, MY Manowar is going to run for the quad ball. Thompson, and I believe that is Ross, rounding out the lineup.
And this is where we saw Charlotte have a lot of success, right? This group definitely passed the ball well. They continue to attack downhill. Let's see if they can get them off on the right foot.
Yeah, I think Charlotte drawing first blood and kind of really showing that they're going to hang is going to be so important. I think if Boston attacks early and gets out, you could see the resilience start to fall off maybe a bit. So we'll see how this one breaks down. Chris LeCompte, our head ref, is about to get us started. Game 2 is about to get started. It's going to be Olazaba racing Manowar for brooms up. And we are off here in Game 2. Really close, but Olazaba is able to come up with it. Oh, and Manowar goes down immediately on an attempted wrap. Really unfortunate situation here for Charlotte. And we're just going to cut away from that action really quickly as Manowar gets some medical attention. Hate to see things start out that way in Game 2, especially with the amount that young player is bringing to this program at this point.
Yeah, unfortunate. Nothing really extreme there, just I think happened to grab at the same time.
Yeah. Manowar, only 22 out of the UNC program, also has been running the Carolina Quad Ball Conference programs. The amount he is doing for this sport at his age, both on the field and off the field, just a really incredible presence to have in this program and in this franchise.
Yeah, definitely one of the reasons why Charlotte became an official franchise this year. A really strong player and a player with a bright future for sure.
Yeah. So we've talked about the other series that's going to be taking off, and the most recent word I have, if you are watching the series while waiting for it, is that the Minneapolis-Detroit series is set for a 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central start time. Final series of the night between Austin and League City. A lot of talk has been had about the strength of this Austin roster this season here in MLQ. We've seen some super team rosters come out of Austin before. How do you think this one kind of ranks amongst them?
It's got to be high, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're taking arguably, 40% of Team USA and putting it on one team at this point. You're adding it back in Jackson Johnson to an already stacked core,
Yep.
and you're continuing to play a game where if you're talking about cycling through your lines, right, and going all 21 deep, you can go all 21 deep on Austin and not see a single bit of drop-off.
Yeah. Also adding Daniel Williams back to that absolutely stacked core. Miguel Esparza coming back into the team. It's really interesting to see how they meld in this series. But we are back going. Ryan Davis subs in for Manowar. And it's going to be Olazaba bringing the ball down, working off a screen from Doyle. Olazaba back to Doyle. Doyle now has on the wing, room to drive, goes to Olazaba. And Olazaba wins the no-budget situation. That's how Olazaba got things started in game one, just winning those no-budget situations. But really nice ball movement there from Boston in the two-man game.
Yeah, and a great block by Bonadillo, just not fast enough to get back in the play.
Yep. Hodge now has the ball. Bonadillo loses an exchange with Biddles. Biddles now looking to press. McCready presses alongside. Ross can do nothing about it. Olazaba's going to have another no-budget situation. Olazaba looking for the brace. Does slow down, though, and goes to Skura, and Skura eats a beat from Bonadillo. A little bit hesitant from Olazaba, which we haven't seen all game. Was kind of surprising there.
Yeah, I mean, again, right, the more physical team we talked about in game one was Charlotte. This Boston team a little bit hesitant to drive through that contact.
Davis trying to push Ross deeper down into the zone. It's going to be a triangle and one here on offense, or diamond, sorry. Hodge has the ball. Biddles again looking to press. Biddles forces the turnover. Doyle looking to go the other way. Doyle in transition, Skura on the far wing. It's Richard who gets in the middle, and Doyle just goes wide on that. Skura, I think Skura had a foot out of play while picking up that ball. Unfortunate mistake there, and an unfortunate failure of a transition play from Boston. That said, Andrew Biddles, who we saw very little of in game one, showing up big here in game two so far, winning all the exchanges with Bonadillo, forcing Joe Goldberg into this game. Lee Hodge bringing the ball down, still dodgeball control with Charlotte. Missed beat there by Joe Goldberg, so he goes for the hit. Biddles just gets rid of him with a tap beat. It's going to be another press opportunity. Oh, Biddles actually gets called back to hoops. Somehow, Goldberg's going to come up with dodgeball control, and now Charlotte can look to run its offense. Thompson has the ball in the middle of the lane. Richard throws back to keep control. Biddles now trying to block in. Richard does eat the beat. A nice pass there over the top to Thompson. Thompson goes high, misses it though. Another missed shooting opportunity. So many of those early for Charlotte.
Yeah, not nearly as direct as some of the other ones we've seen missed, but again, another missed shot.
Yeah. It was Hale who'd entered the game who made the pass, and Thompson who couldn't get the shot to go.
An early shift back to this Montero shoe lineup that had so much success earlier in this series.
Yeah. But they are facing up against the dodgeball control of Goldberg and Richard. Olazaba still in the game, has the ball on the near side, gets down deep to Doyle. It's going to be a tap beat there, and then Shu makes an incredible catch. I'm not sure it's going to be enough for budget control, but it's going to be enough for no dodgeballs, and Skura opens up his account in game two.
That's what we want to see from Ian Skura. Good ball fakes, continues to take it down, and a strong finish.
Yeah, and it is Montero and Shu who do end up with dodgeball control. Really nicely, one exchange there by Shu, and then clean up by both of them. Hodge bringing the ball down, 2-0 early for Boston. We talked about this is the one thing that Charlotte couldn't let happen early. Montero gets rid of Richard. Now it's no dodgeballs for a while if Hodge can take advantage. Hodge needs to find that passing option, but the arms are too long on the Boston side. Goes off a screen from Thompson, fits it through. Oh, it was a volleyball attempt. It wasn't good enough for a goal, but it was good enough from Ross to find Braxton Hale, who gets his first goal of the series, 2-1 in favor of Boston.
Yeah, and that's the passing we want to see from Charlotte. Maybe not the last pass we want to see, but the ball movement was definitely there.
Hey, real cool. Goldberg takes an exchange with Shu, is going to be able to keep dodgeball control. It's going to leave Richard all by herself, but it's a missed pass there looking for Mayer that's going to allow Thompson to come up with it. Thompson just knocks Skura right off of the game there. Thompson looking to go end-to-end. Thompson puts it through. Just like that, we're level at 2.
Yeah, I mean, this game is shifted with dodgeball control as it stands right now. And Goldberg and Richard definitely asserting themselves right now.
Yeah, I mean, something that has always been a thought in the Shu Havlin school of beating thought is that it's okay to allow there to be no dodgeball. Sometimes your defense is going to clean up for you. That hasn't necessarily been the case so far for Boston.
This Boston team isn't the same, I mean, comparatively to some of those teams that the Shu Havlin beating school plays with.
Crawford in the lane. Crawford with 5 in game 1. This time, though, happy to get an assist. Beckman goes high and puts it through.
Yeah, I mean, this team, that's what this team is known for, right? A lot of passing. Tyler Beckman, not necessarily the off-ball threat we think of when we think of Boston, but in that situation did his best Zach Doyle impression with a quick catch and release.
Yeah, and everything that's happening good offensively is happening through the work of Taylor Crawford at the moment. 5 goals in game 1, gets his first assist on his first offensive possession in game 2.
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte now slowing it down, still has control. They did get a sub there. Morris is going to center it to Hodge. Hodge, though, has Crawford still on him. High pass to Woodard. Skura's going to step out on Woodard. Woodard, considering trying to go around, does have Morris as a passing option. Woodard brings Skura to Morris as Goldberg gets rid of Collier, freshly subbed into the game. Hodge now has it up top. Still, though, Crawford was in that area. Oh, a beautifully floated pass. Lee Hodge picks out Ryan Davis, 3-2.
And that's what happens when you high press. When you high press, your back chasers have to be looking for those mark options. The shots are going to come, but they're going to come a little bit more lofted, and in that situation, you want to mark the off-ball chasers. And they didn't, and they paid for it.
Yeah, Charlotte, the big injury to open this game, and then the immediate 2 goals from Boston to be able to change the momentum here. But now Peter Lawrence is looking to change it back. The floater in the lane's no good. The rebound shot from Tyler Beckman also knocked down. Crawford now going to try his luck. It's still it's not no dodgeballs. It's a misbeat there. Crawford with the block. Crawford in the lane. Crawford goes high. 3 missed shots on the possession for Boston, and no goal to come from it.
We talked about Charlotte needs to hit their shots. Boston seems like they may need to hit their shots here. Now allowing Charlotte to go on, I believe, a 3-goal run.
No, it was 2-0 early, but it's been a 3-1 run since.
There we go.
Cody LeBove entering the game. We were saying his minutes were some of the best in the beater game so far for Charlotte. He's alongside Hirsch this time around.
Boston returning to their 3-tree zone. A little bit scared now, I think, of those Charlotte shots.
Lee Hodge now out of the game, so who's going to run the offense? Because Hodge has been the most effective runner of it. It's going to be Morris to start, walking the ball in. Does draw Crawford to her. I think that's the matchup Charlotte would like as they try to shift Crawford away from the team's top drivers. Morris getting it all the way down the wing, does move it down. It's going to be Matt Shaw who has the ball behind. Davis is now only being marked by a beater. But Collier is not going to let Davis get the ball. Really smart positioning by Collier. Ball instead goes back down to Shaw. Shaw now needs to try to get around Crawford. That is not a matchup that Shaw is going to win. Shaw gets hit hard. Davis just tries a kick just to stop the break. Can't do it. Hirsch's beat gets knocked down by Peter Lawrence. Peter Lawrence takes all the way. I think there might just be a conversation. Oh, it's just going to be a quick injury stoppage here from that hit from Taylor Crawford on Shaw. Nothing illegal about it, but a big hit there from Crawford. So Boston back in the lead now. Now with Lee Hodge not on the field, what do you think Charlotte could be doing a little bit better to create offense?
I think the players need to take their space. We saw there that Taylor Crawford was marking up top, but marking loosely. I think you don't necessarily need to eat the hit when you come in against that, but you do need to make Taylor Crawford respect that you are going to actually maybe do something rather than passing the ball off. And a lot of times there, they caught the ball and stopped with plenty of space between them and the nearest defender.
Yeah, and, it's definitely been at times like we saw in that possession, some of these, college is a very different situation in terms of beating point defenders off the dribble. It's when you're facing top MLQ teams, almost throughout the roster, you're not beating people off the dribble. Not always. I mean, Boston's not necessarily the most physical team, but you can't think you're going to win against teams, at least they're point defenders.
No, but I don't think you necessarily need to win. You just need to make sure that they stick with you long enough to make the pass.
Right. No, I agree. I'm saying that they're trying to win those matchups, and that's causing some of their turnovers.
Yeah, totally fair.
So 4-3 now off the Peter Lawrence fast break goal.
We're just going to see Chris Lecomte hold it for the keeper to come back and get the ball.
Yeah, Lee Hodge subs right back into the game, just gets a possession or two off. Hodge kind of doing everything for this team, also its head coach, and it's been its star player so far in games 1 and half of game 2. Davis, his longtime teammate both with Charlotte and with Terminus, takes the handoff. Collier goes high, does win the exchange with Lebov. Oh, it was a nice pass there, floated by Davis. Was looking for Morris, but Morris had a tough play to make. Woodard now trying to chase down Lawrence. Can't do it. Lawrence, though, I believe was beat before. A huge recovery beat. Crawford now has the ball. Can Lebov save it one more time? Can't make the second one go. Crawford gets on the board in game 2.
What was I going to say? The Charlotte Beaters are continuing to make plenty of these long beats. It's just the second rebound options that Boston is capitalizing on.
Yeah. Hodge now getting high pressed by Beckman, but Hirsch does come back in the play, but Collier eats that right up. Now Dillman's looking to press. Oh, but Dillman does get, so 2 mistakes there by Lawrence. Lawrence gets in the path of Dillman's beat and then goes high on Woodard and I think is headed to the box. Lawrence's second yellow of the season and of the series.
Yeah, a bit of a, how do I put this? There was a press. It didn't seem like a synchronized press. There was a press by Beckman, which Hodge easily gets around, followed by a press by Collier, which allowed for Lebov to make the engage and get dodgeball control off of it. Just kind of a messy possession all around defensively by Boston.
Sure. I mean, it was very well set up to be cleaned up by Leon Dillman, and I think that beat was going to hit Woodard pretty convincingly until it knocked off of Peter Lawrence instead. Opportunity for Charlotte to stop a 2-0 run here from Boston. Dillman is behind Woodard on the play. Beckman and Athena Mayer, I think, will be able to take away the near shot, but he doesn't have a pass to Lee Hodge. That's what he's going to use. Hodge is going to have to slow it down, though, because Taylor Crawford is on his side of the hoops. Dillman now back in the play. Dodgeball control, as we said, is with Lebov and Mickey Harrelson, who's freshly subbed in. Hodge still in the lane. Woodard attempts a cut. No, Woodard's just going to push Mayer out of the play. But it was all a setup for a pass to the other hoops. I love that attack on hoop zone right there.
That is so clever. The distractive push, so many teams now key in whenever a push comes to that side, sending defenders back towards it. Where does that take it away from? The opposite side.
Yeah. I mean, you always want to go on your first point of contact, but when push comes to shove, sometimes the second one's better. Crawford bringing the ball down here. It's 5-4. In favor of Boston. Beckman has it behind. Back to Crawford. Hoop zone here from Charlotte. A missed big beat there by Lebov. A wrap. Pass, though, goes back to Crawford. Harrelson considering pressing on Crawford, but I think smartly turns back and makes a nice block there on Dillman. Collier is called beat, but it is able to create enough of a no-bludger situation for Beckman to put it home. Hodge, though, bringing it down the other way.
Oh, what
it finds Ryan Davis. You know, we talked about Ryan Davis, the shooter. Ryan Davis, the cutting winger off of Lee Hodge, has been the danger spot right now for Charlotte in game 2.
Yeah, I think this Boston defense is a little bit shook right now. I think they're continuously losing cutters from the back. They're overcommitting to offensive option number 1 and leaving offensive option number 2 open.
Yeah, but, I mean, we weren't even fully ready for that. I think Davis got so quickly into position there to get that one through. Just like this, once again, just like game 1 where you kind of felt like Boston was the better team for stretches, but then you look at the scoreboard and it's a 1-goal game.
Yeah, I mean, Charlotte hanging around in this game, arguably with some of the better offensive ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Boston has definitely been pretty reliant on its beaters to force no dodgeballs. Not that there's anything wrong with that, to be clear. It's a very effective offensive strategy. But Charlotte has found ways in game 1, remember, early on they were able to get a couple goals against dodgeball control. That was really important for establishing themselves in that game 1. And in game 2, like you're saying, finding really nice offensive ideas.
Yeah, I think this team is slowly coming together. I think having not that you want to lose players like Manowar and Shaw, but two of their bigger driving options, they've had to get a bit more creative, and it seems to be paying dividends.
Yeah, now the interesting thing, though, is we haven't actually seen a solution yet for what does this team do when Lee Hodge isn't running the offense. And Lee Hodge can't run the offense for the next 50 minutes of game time that are going to be games 2 and games 3. So what is that going to look like? And also, at some point, Ryan Davis is going to have to get pulled out of this game to get ready for Seeking. So when do you make that decision? Of course, we're only 10 minutes in, so we're a little early to think about it. But definitely something that's going to have to be in the back of head coach Lee Hodge's mind, who is also on the field running the offense. Crawford has the ball. Lawrence now into the game. Will Andrews and Aaron McCready in. McCready wins an exchange with LeBeau, creates no bludger. Beckman with the posterization. That is a hat trick for Beckman here in game 2. He has 5 already in the series.
And Beckman, not someone we necessarily consider an offensive threat, but is definitely having to do work for this Boston team now.
Yep. Hodge with the ball. Davis on his near side. Morris is up top with him. Woodard on the far wing. LeBeau looking to engage with Will Andrews. I think neither of them managed to beat the other one in that exchange. Woodard all the way up top. Hodge the one-arm grab. A fake beat there on the keeper from LeBeau. Oh, and Hodge just lost one that Beckman's able to get a read on. A little bit of miscommunication there, I think, in the offense for Charlotte for the first time in a few possessions.
Yeah, Beckman sort of playing the free safety, leaving the Three Trees defense because Hodge definitely telegraphed that pass for a long time.
Yeah, it's an important part of the Three Trees defense because you can't let the other team just possess the ball forever. So eventually you have to find your turnover opportunity. Good job by Tyler Beckman scouting one there. Greg Bento now into the game, I believe for the first time in the ball game of the series, working alongside Crawford on the far side. Crawford now is going to hit the lane. Crawford, does get beat. Never saw Harrelson. Oh, but McCready cleans up all the Charlotte players. The end result is that Peter Lawrence now has a no-budget situation. Oh, and his shot just bounces off the side there. A big wrap by Woodard. That's going to be his last contribution for now on this shift, and it was a big one.
Yeah, I mean, these defenses are stopping players 2-3 yards away from the hoops, and players right now, again, something's got to change at some point. This is the second week in a row we've seen players brick it off the side there. You got to practice it at some point.
Yeah, now we're seeing this Charlotte team go a little bit deeper into their depth with the injury. It's going to be the first time we're seeing Brandon Peterson on the field wearing the green headband. Burl Womack, who had 2 goals in game 1, also on the field now for Charlotte. Pass deep there from White to Davis, but really nicely cleaned up by McCready. And now Bento's going to look to run. Bento has a step on his defender. Womack is in front. Bento slows it down, goes to Lawrence. Lawrence considering the no-budge opportunity, and now it's a full no-budge opportunity. Bento gets it behind a Crawford. Crawford probably going to make the most of it, and does. Puts it home.
And that's what we want to see from this Boston offense in transition. Both getting players into the right positions, Crawford there to finish it off, but Bento taking the patient second to realize that it wasn't a true transition, pushes it instead to a semi-transition, gets the ball back, finds the cutting Crawford.
White bringing the ball down for Charlotte. Jenkins now checks into the game as well. So the entirety of that first line now off the pitch. Bonadillo misses a beat there on McCready. Greenhouse does get beat out. Green headband was outside the keeper zone. Big hit there by McCready on Bonadillo. And Womack takes a big beat. Now it might go the other way. Greenhouse floats one to Skura. Skura catches it on a bounce. Skura puts it home. Things are going from bad to worse for Charlotte right now in transition.
The offensive pressure that Charlotte isn't really able to handle is definitely hurting them, I think, in this situation.
And we're going to get a timeout from Charlotte. Think it's really necessary to kind of switch the emphasis, but really I think the biggest problem Charlotte's facing right now is outside of their real stars, they're not necessarily getting the contributions they got in game 1, where they at one point had 6 goals from 6 people. It seems like as those injuries have set in, as a little bit of fatigue has set in, they're just kind of so willing to just rely on, the Davises and the Hodges of the world.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of passivity. I think that they got a little bit unlucky there we saw 2 engages from their beaters that didn't really result in anything. First one resulting in both players missing, and the second one resulting in the Dodgeballs remaining with Boston, which has allowed Boston to press a little bit higher. forcing these lofted passes that they're able to pick off and go.
Yeah, and I also think Boston, like you said, this is game one. They were definitely experimenting with some things in their beater game in game one. Feels like they're kind of getting a better idea of the pairs and the personnel that is getting the most for them right now.
As you say that, a completely new pair that we haven't seen before is coming out onto the field. And I think that's, again, they're just trying to sort things out. They're figuring things out as they go along. And this was something that Max Havlin talked to me about early before the game, wanting to experiment with different pairings, make sure everyone was comfortable with everyone, and seeing if there's maybe something they hadn't discovered yet.
Yep. So it's going to be the young Harvard star Jessica Lee checking in for the first time alongside her coach, Lulu Shu. And they will start with dodgeball control. Harry Greenhouse getting very animated on the field. We talked about how Greenhouse kind of took himself out of game one. I don't think he ever subbed back in after picking up that second yellow card. Definitely high energy and definitely looking to make something of this game too.
Yeah, and he was yelling, "Give me the ball" during fast break. Something that he regretted last year in the finals was not getting the ball and being able to go downhill against Austin.
Shu and Lee up against Bonadillo and Richard. Shu considering goes for Richard. Meanwhile, Womack lofts one. Oh, that was a great scoring opportunity. The shot just goes low. It is picked up, though, by White. White's now in the lane. White, pass gets knocked down by Skura. Skura gets beat, so White can compose herself again as Womack comes back into the play. Peterson back to Womack. It was Jenkins who missed the initial shot. That one, though, is just a floater that is too easy for Skura. And Greenhouse is the first one out in transition and puts it through. Really nicely done. This is the kind of game Boston wants to be playing.
Yeah, and in that situation, Charlotte looked like they had a lot of things going for them, but a lofted shot into a hoop zone is going to lead to transition opportunities almost every time.
Yeah, the worst mistake you can make in quad ball is just throw a ball that can be easily caught by a hoop defender because there's no better position to go into transition from. That is the cardinal sin made there by Womack that does allow to go the other way. No call on the play. I think they were just getting a dodgeball back that had gone well off pitch. Dodgeball control did go back to Bonadillo and Richard, though, on that play. So now Charlotte can work in with dodgeball control, though honestly they got pretty good looks on that last possession.
Yeah, I think that they don't necessarily need it to score against this Boston offense. They just need to pass with a little bit more conviction.
Yep. Hoop defenders beat out there. Lee makes a big hit on Richard. Richard comes off broom from that hit. That is going to mean all the dodgeballs are with Boston. And now, once again, Harry Greenhouse is running in transition. Just has to get by Womack, does so. Gets it to Bo Bertram. The dodgeball takes out the hoop, so Bertram finds another one. It is all Boston halfway here through game two.
And what did we say? Transition opportunities are what Boston needs to look for. They're getting plenty of them now, and that, I think, is the big change. The fact that Charlotte has to continue to play half-court offense versus Boston getting out in transition, that's where we are seeing their success.
Yeah, the big moment in that play was Lee's hit was tap beat out by Richard, but then Richard came off broom trying to get out of it. As Goldberg wins a big exchange there with Shu. Ball goes behind to Hodge. Hodge back in the game. Hodge looking to score. Hodge, though, Skura gets enough of an arm on, and Harry Greenhouse comes up with it.
I do think there's going to be some discussion here because Hodge, I felt, got around the corner from Skura. So we'll see what the referees say.
Hodge was definitely asking for that call.
Oh,
okay. So the issue is that Skura, the one who made the play-saving grab, was beat before it. That's going to allow Hodge to basically get a all but free goal off this restart.
Harry Greenhouse doing what he does best, walking a few steps the other way to get a few steps closer to Hodge. Mario Nasta having none of it and bringing him back to the spot.
Mario Nasta knows most of this Boston team's tricks. If Havlin was on the field, he would know all of them as well. Hodge puts it through. Finally, Charlotte's able to break the run. But again, they did it because Hodge was back on the field. How are they going to get contributions from someone not named Lee Hodge? Was his first of that game, but it doesn't feel like it because of how important he's been to the offense.
Plenty of assists to go to his name, for sure.
For sure. Skura has the ball up top. Lee fakes a beat, goes over to Greenhouse. Greenhouse rips a shot, not to be. As Goldberg's been able to make a beat on Shu in the transition, Lee makes the beat back. No, it's not called, actually. Goldberg's going to walk off with control. Hodge is looking to run. It is a advantage call here, so there is a foul against Boston. Woodard has the ball into the lane. Woodard goes all the way. Couldn't tell if that one went through. Based on Woodard's reaction, I don't think it did.
I think Chris Lecomte is going to sort this out now. If anything there, it was definitely in the dodgeball game, the foul that occurred. It's totally potential that it was a late throwback to start the entire play, but we will see here.
So Shu is headed to the box. Unsurprisingly, seems quite confused by it.
I mean, we talked about knowing all the tricks. Shu there with a definitively late throwback to try and retain control for her team.
All right, so I guess the goal was good. So Woodard puts that one through, and it's just back down to a 4-goal lead. It's about where it was at 20 minutes in the last game. So, you know, for all that Boston running, Charlotte's still hanging tough.
Jessley getting tangled up with Goldberg there. Discussion being had about who is going to own that dodgeball.
And if it's illegal, which it will be, that's a costly one. And that's going to give Charlotte another opportunity. This is what Boston hasn't been doing in Game 2 that happened in Game 1. They let Charlotte get back in the game with too many cards.
A blue card here, not necessitating a quad ball turnover, though. So we'll see if Charlotte's going to do here.
Yeah, but it is no dodgeball. So can they run a good press? Richard, though, is not going out fast enough. Now Richard goes. Skura floats one behind to Poland. It's going to go high. This is going to be Charlotte's opportunity now to run off of this. Womack comes up with the ball. Sorry, no, it's Thompson coming up with the ball.
Montero back with Forge's lone dodgeball.
Greenhouse screaming out commands on the defensive side, but it's not going to be easy to play defense with just the one dodgeball. Ball goes on the near side to Ross. Ross back to Thompson. Woodard now has it with a lot of space. Takes a stutter step and gives it back. Lee back in the game. Hodge beat out. Thompson hits the lane, doesn't see Montero. The backhand shot goes wide. We've seen a couple of those from Charlotte. Ross, though, the composure, but no, can't get it to go to anyone, and Pollen picks it up.
Yeah, Montero leaving with the team's lone dodgeball created that brief no dodgeball opportunity.
Chaos in the dodgeball game means no dodgeballs. Woodard tries a wrap on Greenhouse. Greenhouse slips through it. Greenhouse to Poland. Poland gets knocked down by Thompson. Thompson now looking to go the other way, and there's nobody in front of him. This is a game-changing play on both ends by Thompson.
And just as you talked about, these cards for Boston, these fouls, allowing Charlotte to get back in this game, putting them in a similar situation to where they were at Game 1's flag runner on pitch, only down 3.
And we said probably, 8 minutes ago, we need to make sure Ryan Davis could get off the field to seek without the game getting out of hand. Suddenly, we're closing in on 20 minutes, and we're at that exact same margin we were a game ago. Lawrence and Olazaba in, definitely, I think, the specialists for 20-minute play for this Boston side. Hodge still in the game. Hoops D out of Charlotte. Lawrence, though, just gets beat by LeBeau, and now all the dodgeballs are on the ground. No, Biddles is back this time. Oh, he misses the beat on Hodge. No, he doesn't. Woodard trying to win a race to the ball, does it. It's just a pure effort play there by Woodard. Really nicely done by Charlotte.
Yeah, and that was all started by LeBeau's willingness to engage with the, frankly, lackadaisical ball carrying up top.
Biddles makes a huge play, just takes the dodgeball right off of Hirsch in the middle of the field. Now is on the ground. Montero. No, it's Cody LeBeau who takes it off Montero's. Woodard's shot goes off the rim, picked up by Jenkins, and we have another player down for Charlotte. It's been such a tough game for Charlotte in terms of these injuries, but so much credit to this young team for fighting through all of them to stay in the series.
Yeah, they are hanging around. They are continuing to put pressure on this Boston team, forcing this Boston team maybe to play some of their more senior players a little bit more than they want to.
Yeah, but I do want to shout out because we didn't see much of him in Game 1, but I think he's had a huge Game 2 so far, is Andrew Biddles, who's kind of been everywhere on the pitch. You could argue has a little extra energy because he didn't play that many minutes in Game 1. His presses were really nice on the first shift, and a huge play there they made on Hirsch to briefly swap the momentum of that play.
Yeah, and Boston's presses have definitely become more synchronized. We are seeing more picked off passes off of the high presses. And that is part of that is what led to some of those transition opportunities earlier.
Yeah, it's currently the former Tufts beating pair of Biddles and Montero, both on the field for Boston. Jenkins gets to the ball across. Ross gets it to Womack. Goes a little high. Womack does pick it up. Womack's looking around the corner. Does just go back to Hodge, though, in the end. Hodge, the high pass to Jenkins. Oh, Zach Doyle goes high. I think Doyle's going to wear that one with no fault. I think because he was the one making the incredible defensive stop there.
Yeah, definitely just an incidental contact situation, and Doyle getting right back up from it.
Yeah, he had a long way to go to get a hand in front of that ball. Jenkins didn't go high enough for it, and Doyle knocks it down. Chance for Boston to get one more here before the secret timeout, before the 20-minute timeout. I apologize. Big hit there by Hodge. Hodge forces the ball loose. Hodge is doing everything for this Charlotte team, leading by example, the head coach.
Yeah, we talk about do we need to find other players other than Hodge? Hodge might just play the whole 25 minutes of this game.
Yeah. But just I think this margin actually might be one lower than the last game. I think it might have been a 4-goal margin at the stoppage. So for all that Boston mid-game run, it's Charlotte hanging around once again.
Yeah, and this is the ebbs and flows of this series so far, right? Boston sort of starting to build momentum. Charlotte staying composed. This team continues to just stay calm and find ways to execute.
Yeah, and like we said, it's Lee Hodge leading by example. It's Lee Hodge setting up this team's offense. Right? Only the one goal to his name, but I mean, what he's been able to do with Brian Davis in the early parts of this game and getting some big contributions from Zachary Thomas, the end-to-end play, the stuff on Poland, and then all the way to the other side. Like we've talked about, this Boston beater core is not scared to be very aggressive on offense and leave some holes in the defense. And occasionally when Charlotte's been able to capitalize on it, it's allowed them to really get some good opportunities.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason that this is happening, too, is the unfamiliarity that this Boston Chaser core has with each other. Don't play a lot together during the USQ season, and that results in maybe some missed assignments on the back end, something that this Boston team rarely does in the past, but due to the new sort of combinations they're working on, maybe some miscommunication on the back end.
So Shue and McCready are going to be the starting beater pair for the 20-minute period for Boston. They're going to be going up against, I'm going to assume when all settles, it'll probably be Lebov and Richard, but to start at least, it's going to be Lebov and Hirsch. Dodgeball control is with the Boston pair, and the quad ball is going to be with Charlotte. Opportunity to get a goal right away, and if they could get a catch right away, possibly just go into a sudden leading scenario here in game 2.
Yeah, I think Charlotte definitely needs a catch in this situation for sure.
Just waiting on the flag runner. Flag runner Mario Nasta, if you noticed, not with the yellow shorts today, and that's because a new rule in MLQ that allows flag runners to wear an alternate color of shorts now that we've moved Charlotte into having yellow shorts.
And boy, do those shorts look sharp, Ethan. A great, great uniform choice.
So Chris Lecomte calling out the game situation. It's a set score of 11-8 right now in favor of Boston. Hodge is able to come down with the ball when all is said and done. Opportunity here to make something happen. It's going to be Beckman against Davis once again. Davis with the catch in game 1. Who will get in game 2? Lebov does clear out Beckman right away, but now he's going to have to find and engage opportunity. Can't find it there. Beckman goes right in on Nasta. Meanwhile, patience in the quad ball game. A lot of time for Beckman right out the gate. Hodge isn't looking to go anywhere too quickly. Hodge trying to get by Olazaba. Still slow, still Beckman. All Beckman so far. And we get a stoppage, and I think it might have been right before any. Oh, it wasn't a catch anyway there from Beckman.
No, it's just a keeper zone reset, or a half court reset.
Smartly played by Boston, might get them a goal opportunity. Oh, Lawrence pushes right through, gets Olazaba.
No. Oh.
I also thought maybe. I think Olazaba is being a little low key about that goal, and I'm thinking it might be because he might have missed it, but. It is going to count. Ryan Davis finally gets an opportunity. McCready cleans it up, though. It is going to be Jordy Sancho getting his first minutes in at beater for Charlotte here in the Seeker game. Lebov alongside him. Exchange of beats there. Davis is going to get an opportunity because McCready's beat attempt actually hit off of Nasta. Oh, can he make it happen? Not sure. Pass goes back to Hodge here. Hodge now trying to work on Doyle and then on Zaba. Hodge trying to do it all. No bludger. Can't get the shot to go. Jenkins is going to pick it up. I think Olazaba pushed him out of bounds. If not, doesn't matter. Pass picked off. Doyle looking to run in transition. Nobody to beat here. Doyle goes end-to-end. Another goal for Boston. A very different flag runner on pitch scenario than last game.
Yeah, definitely changing up what happens here. Now a Charlotte catch doesn't even put them at the tie.
Will Richardson now in at seeker for the first time for Boston. Exchange of beats. Montero now in and with Dillman in the seeker game. Ton of space here for White to work. White gets it back to Hodge. Morris and White are currently wings to Hodge, who has the ball up top. Olazaba marking. Hodge has up top. Richardson gets another shot. Greenhouse training his seekers from the sideline. White has it. Over to Morris. Morris can't get clean. Ooh, a little bit of kick there. It is going to be a Boston ball. A little bit dangerous play. Davis does get a shot on Nasta in the meantime. Joe Goldberg now in the game alongside Richard. Davis more time here with Nasta. Skura has the quad ball. Davis sent back to Hoops. Finally a bubble being formed by Charlotte, but again, it's just been all Boston so far in the quad ball game. Skura running round and around and around he goes, puts it through, 14-8.
Yeah, 3 more needed for Boston. 9 more needed for Charlotte.
And Hodge is so upset to get that stoppage because he had a head of steam. He had Olazaba on the back feet. I think he felt he maybe could have won off the dribble there. Now they're all going to be flat-footed, and Olazaba will definitely be in a better situation.
Yeah, and Olazaba doing a great job this flag runner on pitch period, not getting too aggressive, continuously keeping himself between the Charlotte ball carriers and the goal, making life difficult for them.
Yeah, Greg Bento now the seeker for Boston. I believe it's been Ryan Davis for the entirety of the game so far for Charlotte. Third seeker already for Boston.
Yeah, and this is something Boston tends to do. They tend to rotate through their seekers quickly. They like to play matchups as best they can.
It's worth noting that this season finally on the roster, Harry Greenhouse no longer even listed as a seeker, only a chaser. Obviously probably the greatest of all time at the position, but is turned it over to the next generation. As we get play started over again, Hodge has the ball, does bobble it there briefly. Probably going to slow it down. His beaters are finally winning around the flag runner, finally giving Davis some time. Thompson now has the ball. Thompson has 2 ready in this game, looking to make it 3. Does go by Mayer, tries the backhanded pass. I don't think I've seen a backhanded pass or shot quite work yet for Charlotte. Olazaba gets across to Skura. Skura's on the run. Skura goes deep. Oh, miscommunication with Doyle, and the turf is going to take that one out of play. Missed opportunity from Boston. Pass I don't think Skura really needed to throw.
Yeah, one of the dodgeballs now for Charlotte in the quad ball game. Joe Goldberg coming in back to our right.
Yep. And Hodge this time does get to take advantage of the head of steam, but a huge hit by Crawford. Pass goes across. It is going to be fielded first by Morris. A big hit by Doyle. And Boston closes the door on what I think was Charlotte's best scoring opportunity of the flag runner position. And you can see Hodge is looking gassed out there.
I mean, how could he not at this point? A lot of contact, a lot of work trying to work one-on-one.
I do wonder if the flag runner on pitch opportunity was Hodge's opportunity to maybe get some rest when all that really mattered was physicality. In the meantime, though, Skura adds to his total. We want to see more from him. That's 4 goals for the defending East Division MVP.
Yeah, I think he heard us and is definitely trying to put in the work now.
Bento trying to end it there. Richard can't win in exchange with Dillman, though. Does at least clear Bento for the time being. Davis still has been the only seeker for Charlotte. Gets close, but no avail, and Dillman has the beat. Goldberg is on the ground in the back. I think exhaustion is just starting to set in for the Charlotte team. But someone who does not look exhausted there, making the drive, Braxton Hale. Big goal there. Crawford, though, immediately returns the favor because Boston can just bring in wave after wave of talent.
Yeah, and this is a team, again, they want to get out in transition, and flag runner on pitch is nothing but semi-transition opportunities.
Yep. Hill second of the game there. And now I wonder at some point if Charlotte's going to have to back off a flag runner because it is next goal wins here for Boston.
Yeah, they absolutely do need to, for sure.
Lee misses a beat there on Hale. Hale does get wrapped up by Greenhouse, has to throw it to nobody in particular. Now Lebov is going to have to assess the situation correctly because Skura is going to have an opportunity to win. Lebov, though, is going back to flag runner. So it is going to be Skura, I think, in a no dodgeball situation with a chance to end. up against Harrelson. Usually a beater in his chaser right now. Skura in the lane. Skura, nobody stops him. Skura sends Boston home with the series win, 170-190. The 5-goal performance there by Skura.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted more from Skura. Skura definitely did that in that game. A much more, let's say, active participant definitely could definitely win some one-on-one matches. We talked about maybe not winning these one-on-one matchups in the MLQ level. Skura is one of those players who can do that almost every time.
Yeah, and I think fatigue just set in for the Charlotte team. We've seen, unfortunately, 3 players go down already. And, in that flag runner position, with the amount of minutes that Lee Hodge is playing for this team, they were banking on a quick catch, and it was not to be in that one, as neither team was able to come away with the grab, and eventually Boston just ran up the score in a period that they were always going to dominate.
Yeah, and we saw a little bit more of what we wanted to see from Boston with that transition game, with a less passivity, nowhere near just as much passing around and waiting for something to happen. Even when they didn't score, they were looking for opportunities.
Yep. So that's going to do it here for Game 2 of our Series of the Week. Boston taking down the series with a 170-90 win. One more game to play here. Plenty more action across the league. Tune in on all of our YouTube channels. The Minneapolis-Detroit series should also be getting away in a minute. But we'll be back in just about 15 minutes for Game 3 of Boston versus Charlotte. Take care. Keep watching.
Quadball is a sport that integrates aspects from rugby, basketball, and dodgeball to create a fast-paced, mixed-gender game that features 7 players per side. Okay, so quadball is played on a grass or turf field with 3 hoops of varying heights on each team's half. There's 4 balls in quadball, 1 quaffle, and 3 bludgers, and the players run with brooms between their legs and must complete all the play while on broom. If a player comes off broom at any point, they have to tag the center hoop on their team's half before resuming play. Alright, so there's a lot of different positions. The first 2 are chasers and keepers, known together as quaffle players. They use the quaffle, a slightly deflated volleyball, to try to score through their opponent's hoops. There are 3 chasers per team, and they wear a white headband, and there's 1 keeper per team, and they wear a green headband. The keeper is only different in they can't be interfered with in their team's keeper zone, which is an area around the hoops, when they possess the quaffle. On offense, all 4 players move the quaffle by running and passing and shooting to attempt to score. A good goal can be scored from either side of the hoop, and it's worth 10 points. On defense, players can tackle each other, and we're talking full contact to prevent the other team from scoring. Beaters, distinguished by black headbands, use the bludgers, dodgeballs, in attempts to knock out the opposing team's players. Each team has 2 beaters at any given time. A player of any position that is hit by a bludger thrown by the opposing team's beaters must dismount their broom, drop the ball they possess, and tag in on the center hoop before they can rejoin play. Beaters help their quaffle players on offense to clear paths to score, as well as work to stop opposing teams from scoring. Okay, so seekers, the ones with the yellow headband, pursue the snitch runner in an attempt to grab that snitch tail from their shorts, kind of like flag football, in order to earn 35 points for their team. They don't enter the game until after the 20-minute timeout, and they leave the game immediately after a good catch has been recorded. The snitch runner is an impartial official whose sole purpose is to prevent the seekers from catching their snitch tail. They can grab, push, wrap, or run away from the seekers to stop them from catching the snitch. The snitch runner comes onto the field after the 20-minute timeout and stays until they are caught. Quad ball is played in 2 halves. The first consists of a timed 20 minutes, and the second ends only when the set score gets reached. During the first half, the quaffle players and the beaters work together to score goals and stop the other team from scoring goals. When the game clock hits 20 minutes, there's a 2-minute timeout, and that's when the seekers and the snitch runner get introduced. At the same time, they're going to determine the set score. It's determined by taking the total of the leading team's score and adding 60 points. The set score gets indicated on a scoreboard, which will be separate from the game score, and whichever team reaches the set score first, either through only quaffle points or with the addition of that snitch catch, win the game. Quadball is a sport that integrates aspects from rugby, basketball, and dodgeball to create a fast pace. They have to tag the center hoop on their team's half before resuming play. Alright, so there's a lot of different positions. The first two are chasers and keepers, known together as quaffle players. They use the quaffle, a slightly deflated volleyball, to try to score through their opponent's hoops. There are 3 chasers per team, and they wear a white headband, and there's 1 keeper per team, and they wear a green headband. The keeper is only different in they can't be interfered with in their team's keeper zone, which is an area around the hoops when they possess the quaffle. On offense, all 4 players move the quaffle by running and passing and shooting to attempt to score the other team from scoring. Beaters, distinguished by black headbands, player of any position that is hit by a bludger thrown by the opposing team's beaters, scoring. Okay, so seekers, the ones with the yellow headband, pursue the snitch runner in an attempt to grab that snitch tail from their shorts, kind of like flag football, in order to earn 35 points for their team. They don't enter the game until after the 20-minute timeout, and they leave the game immediately after a good catch has been recorded. The squad ball is played in 2 halves. The first consists of a timed 20 minutes, and the second ends the team from scoring goals. When the game clock hits 20 minutes, there's a 2-minute timeout, and that's when the seekers and the snitch runner get introduced. Determine the set score. It's determined by taking the win the game. Quad ball is a sport that integrates aspects from rugby, basketball, and dodgeball to create a fast-paced, mixed-gender game that features 7 players per side. Okay, so quad ball is played when the player comes off through at any point. They have to tag the center hoop on their team's half before resuming play. Alright, so there's a lot of different positions. The first 2 are chasers and keepers, known to get shooting to attempt to score. A good goal can be scored from either side of the hoop, and it's worth 10 points. On defense, beaters, distinguished by black headbands, use the bludgers, dodgeballs, in attempts to knock out the opposing team's players. Each team has 2 beaters at any given time. A play offense to clear paths to score, as well as work to stop opposing teams from scoring. Okay, so seekers, the ones with the yellow headband, pursue the snitch runner in an attempt to grab that snitch tail from their
game this series. Davis probably going to be doing the run-up against Olazaba. Monowar had done the first 2, but won't be back for this game. Here's Olazaba. Here we go. Olazaba kicks it back to Doyle, and we are underway. Bonadio looking to press. Doesn't make the beat on Skura, but then Richard is able to. It's a quick stop, though. It does cost Charlotte the immediate dodgeball control they'd gotten. So, overall, we're basically just back in the starting situation, but the ball goes to the other side. Davis bringing the ball up. Andrews standing high. Considers the engage. Just takes a beat from Bonadio. Richard looking for the catch to get control. Can't get it. Will Andrews, though, to Doyle. Doyle, the no-look. The no-look shot. That's a hat trick for Doyle. Doyle starting to heat up here for Boston in Game 3. It's 4-1.
Yeah, sorry about that. A couple of network issues here. We're working our best to get them sorted out as we go.
Davis bringing the ball down. It is 4-1 early. Braxton Hale with the only goal so far for Charlotte. Morris has the ball, bring it down, goes out to Davis. Davis has Jenkins as a passing option near the hoops, but elects to go just back to Morris. Hale's on the far side. Goldberg beats Doyle out of the play. Morris goes across the Hale. Collier's pressing high, forces the pass back to Morris. Morris behind to Davis. Davis is going to need to try to get by Olazaba. Does make a block on the Kieran Collier beat and hits the mid-range shot. Really big there from Davis to stem some of this bleeding. 2 straight possessions with a goal from Charlotte. It's 4-2 now.
Yeah, and it's the same story as games 1 and 2, right? This Boston team continues to play with the high energy, high pressure that they want to play with, and yet Charlotte seems to hang around, only down by 2 now.
Sarah Delk walking the ball down. Collier and Shu, who I think we haven't seen together since game 1, where they were brilliant down the stretch. Now in the game together with control against Goldberg and Hirsch. Goldberg never saw that beat from Collier coming. Too easy. Taylor Crawford brings it through. His first goal of the game, 5-2. Boston is scoring in droves right now.
Yeah, and I think the biggest reason is this Charlotte team's hoops defenders are unwilling to leave their hoops. We're seeing a lot of uncontested right to the hoops and then just dunking over a stationary player scores in this half court. If Charlotte steps out a little bit, I think Boston might have a few more issues.
Woodard with the ball on the near side goes back to Davis. Over to Thompson. Thompson's had a pretty good day for this team as well, the veteran out of the App State program. Oh, and Crawford just pecks off a lazy pass. Boston's been doing such a better job over the last couple games of sitting in those lanes. It's going to be a goaltending call. Count the bucket for Crawford, who did a beautiful job faking the pass to get to the back of that hoop. Crawford has been such a star today for Boston.
Yeah, and a lot of times we see this out of teams that are maybe not the favorites heading in. They give you their best shot in game 1, and then they sort of tend to drop off. Charlotte's done a great job of sticking around through most of game 2 now and starting to look. Their tiredness is starting to wear out on them.
Yeah, but also this is the first time we're seeing Lee Hodge enter the game. I think it kind of became a necessity. But also it's just been the oppressive press of Boston's beaters. There, though, it's an opportunity. No, Peter Lawrence is going to shut the door, and it's just going to transition the other way. Greg Bento has the ball. It was Melissa Ross trying to put that one through, and Peter Lawrence saying no. Mayer has the ball on the near side, slowing the ball down. Back over to Peter Lawrence. Lawrence in the lane. Lawrence considering the shot, Oh, and Thompson would love to have that one back, just a little bit lazy on getting up to that shot. 7-2. Boston is averaging a goal per minute right now.
And things just look easy for Boston right now. A lot of quick movement and shots going against zones and landing.
Yeah. And I think dodgeball control has to be at like 90% in this game, if not higher.
Where have we seen that out of a Dillman-led pair before?
Yep. Woodard has the ball. There's going to be a foul against Boston, though, so maybe an opportunity here for them. Lee Hodge looking to take advantage. Makes a stutter step, gets around Taylor Crawford, but doesn't have the option off of that. Trying to get through Crawford again. Gets Crawford off broom this time. Floats a little high to Thompson. Hodge really trying to do everything for this team. Now Woodard has the ball on the near side. Chris Lecomte decides that the advantage has abated itself and is going to talk over this call. It's not easy to stress enough how important Crawford coming over this program over the last 2 seasons has been for this team. This team is, as we mentioned, not necessarily the most physical, so to add a player like Crawford, so much for that. And just one of those consistent goal scorers, has that mid-range shot, has the ability to go no bludgers as well. Just so important for what the team's trying to do.
Yeah, and doesn't necessarily get to exemplify that mid-range shot and that transition opportunity with his USQ team, the Warriors. Really love to see him doing it out here for Forge.
7-2 the score. It is going to be a power play, though, in the beater game that you have to feel like Charlotte needs to take advantage of. Woodard gets the ball back to Hodge. Hodge isn't going to try to get by Crawford this time. He's just instead going to get it to Woodard. Woodard does not put it through. It goes behind to Thompson. Thompson, though, the one-handed grab and put back. Really nice power play there from Charlotte. Got nothing but opportunities.
Yeah, and offensive rebound after offensive rebound. Not getting it the first opportunity, definitely being more tenacious there on that possession.
Biddles now checks into the game for the first time in Game 3. Is facing dodgeball control that's in the hands of Hirsch and Goldberg. Biddles tries a wrap, just ends up getting tap beat for his troubles. Goldberg goes high, makes a great beat on Crawford. That's the kind of play that they need from this beating game that's been a little quiet so far. Now it's Hodge considering running transition. Dillman briefly drops her dodgeball, but they're not able to take advantage of that. Hirsch just eats a huge hit from Biddles. Ball goes to Thompson. It's going to be no dodgeball if they recognize it. I'm not sure Thompson has recognized it. Does get the ball across to Ross, but Lawrence is able to knock it down. Woodard gets there first. I think we're going to have a talk about something I assume happening in the beater play.
Yeah, the other option that I saw, maybe there was that Lawrence was already off broom when they made that block. I don't know if they were or not. We'll see what's up for the refs to decide.
Yep, that is the call. Well spotted, Nick. And it's going to be another power play. And, hey, this is how Charlotte has slowly edged its way back into every game in this series. Boston starts pulling away, and then a series of cards. And to Charlotte's credit, they've been great on the power play. Woodard does have the ball. Hodge, I believe, is on broom near midfield and will be a passing option.
Though they do have to get over that halfway line now because otherwise it would be a hard boundary reset.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it as much this week as we did last week because of the different styles of the teams, but there are no resets allowed in Major League Quad Ball this year. So once you're across half, your team can never go back across half on that offensive possession.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised to see a little bit of a lack of pressing from both teams in a concerted way when it's not a clear pressing opportunity.
Woodard using the feet smartly, actually gets in the lane, but then wears 2 beats, and Taylor Crawford's going to go the other way uncontested. Really a lot of very easy goals here from Crawford, who's up to 10 on the series.
We wondered a lot earlier where the offense was going to come from, not named Ian Skura. I think we found an answer in Taylor Crawford.
Yeah, and obviously Harry Greenhouse was a big part of that in Game 2 as well in transition. Only 2 goals for Greenhouse so far on the series, but it did create a lot in transition. LeBeau finally checks into the game alongside Harrelson. Hodge bringing the ball down. It is 8-3. That last power play was killed off. Peter Lawrence now back in the game. LeBeau does get beat there. There was a clear deflection on that beat. I'm not sure what LeBeau was hoping for. Jordy Sancho has the ball behind. Long pass up to Thompson. Thompson one-hands it. Oh, rips it over to Ross. Lawrence, though, meets her quick. And Ross's team has been putting her in some tough spots in the last couple of possessions.
Yeah, definitely a dangerous position to put your teammate in there. having been on the end of plenty of Peter Lawrence tackles, not something you want bearing down on you.
Greenhouse running the offense now. Bento, Lawrence, and Mayer, the rest of the quad ball players. Will Andrews checking into the game for the first time alongside Serena Montero. Bento has the ball behind. Patience here. Back up to Mayer. Mayer has some space. She's going to take it. Gets it out to Greenhouse, but the pass goes wide. Lawrence is going to be there first, but I think may have stepped out of play. I think that's going to be the call. Yes. So it is a stop there.
Mayer's teammates didn't seem ready for her to take her space there. We've been asking for these teams to take their space, and the second Mayer does it, the other team isn't ready to respond.
Lebov wins an exchange with Montero, but it's not good enough to get dodgeball control back. The bounces go Boston's way. Hodge floats one high. Montero is just waiting there to beat out Jenkins. No, but Jordy Sancho was behind the play. I don't think anybody realized he puts it through.
And this wave after wave, right? The Charlotte offensive rebounding, being the first to loose balls, definitely allowing them to hang in this game.
Yeah, 8-4 the score. Lebov gets behind the play, though. I think they're going to talk about it. I think the only conversation... they're going to get Bento on a legal screen, I think.
Yeah, definitely a back contact situation. I love the idea. I think that Charlotte's doing a really good job of adjusting, though, and showing their back to the screeners, forcing them to play from behind.
Yep. Everyone will be shocked to know that Harry Greenhouse was not happy with the call. So White's going to have the ball. Another power play opportunity, and if Charlotte scores this one, it's suddenly back to a 3-goal game. I have no idea how this has happened, but I do know it's been the series of cards from Boston. Jordy Sancho went for the get behind the whole team. Lee Hodge was ready to take it. But I think there's going to be a call in the beater game where somehow every beater not named Serena Montero was way behind the play.
Yeah, I think there was a potentially in motion late-ish throw. They tried to resolve it live during the play, and I think they're going to sort it out now.
Yep. So everything is sorted. We'll see if Lee Hodge tries. I assume Serena Montero now has a bead on Jordy Sancho, especially after he snuck through last time. Hodge, though, is just going to run himself. Shot gets knocked down. White's going to fall on the loose ball.
What a great play there to push the ball back into play and force an inbounds for Charlotte there.
Yep. So Hodge now is trying to take on Greenhouse. Gets it across to Sancho. Sancho just knocks it over to attempting to get to Peterson, but instead it is picked up by Bertram. No, the loose ball is still there. Greenhouse trying to get on top of White. Peter Lawrence does as well. Things are just going to be grounded until Serena Montero can come clean things up. Lebova is able to throw back to stop any free transition opportunity for Boston, but it will be a stop. Greenhouse still wants to look in transition, has Bertram, puts a perfect pass on Bertram's hand, and Bertram puts it through. So nicely set up in transition.
Yeah, and that was all set up by Montero looking to push the pace ahead of Greenhouse and allowing for the dodgeball engage.
Bertram's second of the day. Greenhouse now wants to go in transition again. Not scared of the one dodgeball, but the problem is this time he has no passing options. There was a shift change there from Boston. Skur and Richardson in the game. Hodge just takes the ball off of Richardson. Hodge does not like the no call on the reset. Skur just zips one across to Bertram. I think the refs might have to talk about this one.
I think that was pushed back across by a Boston player, but we'll see what the refs say here. I would definitely be doing what Hodge was doing in that situation.
Yeah, and Bertram doing an absolute great job just getting to dangerous positions. Instead of just posting up around the hoops, if you want to know how to improve as a wing chaser, the key is to time your steps towards the hoops in line with your ball carriers. If you get there too early, the defense will realize and you won't have that momentum. If you're timing at the right time, you can cover more ground and the defense won't be ready for you. Bertram's done that on 2 straight plays here.
Yeah, and Charlotte is giving up these semi-transition and true transition opportunities, which is where they tend to lose the thread a little bit. I think that when they get to play in the half court, they can match a little bit more evenly. They just, as they give up these opportunities, it creates some issues for them.
No call on the play. The RPI veteran gets her second in 2 possessions and suddenly pushes this lead back up to 6.
So 13 minutes in, Ethan, where do you see Charlotte having an opportunity to get back into this game?
It's going to be tricky. It's going to have to start with winning some control. But, I mean, Boston rostered 8 beaters in this series, and they're running through all of them, and they're keeping them so fresh. And you can just see the fatigue starting to build up in these legs of the Charlotte players, especially playing on turf where things tend to, move for days as Richardson's looking to go end-to-end. Richardson gets his first goal in MLQ in transition, and Boston is up 7.
Yeah, a star for Brown this year in the USQ season, coming out now and getting minutes on this younger quad ball line of the Boston Forge, showing why he's a scoring machine in the regular season.
Hodge walking the ball down. And once again, it's just relentless from these Boston beaters. This time, though, Lobov is able to get bludgeon control. And Shu misses. No, she hits the beat on Hodge. You can see just the visible frustration on Hodge's face at this time. As long as Harrelson, though, can defend, it should remain dodgeball control. No, Harrelson misses the beat on McCready. And that is going to put dodgeball control right the other way. Just as a thought that Charlotte was maybe getting a string of life, Boston takes it right away just with a little bit of hustle. Greenhouse working the ball to Richardson. Shu and Lee once again in the game together at beater for Boston like they were in game 2. Harry Greenhouse now literally telling his teammates to take space in the play. Greenhouse is going to take it himself. This time, though, the door is shut. Brandon Peterson knocking down the shot. It's going to be a pileup that eventually will be Charlotte ball.
Yeah, and we talked about this. Charlotte wants to play in the half court. I think Boston has fewer ideas in the half court than they do in transition, something that's been a thread for the team since its inception.
Bonadio bringing the ball down. Does get rid of Greenhouse. Shoes beat. No, they say Bonadio got the fist up. That means bludgeon control. Means no dodgeballs in the area. Greenhouse knocking down White. And Hale had the shot, but there's an injury stoppage before it. So, yeah, I mean, what do you think? I mean, you asked me the question. What do you think Charlotte can do to get back in this game?
I think they have to play in half court, like I've talked about time again. I think their beaters need to maybe play a little bit more conservatively on the offensive end, allowing for their opportunity to get back and keep Boston out of these transition opportunities. And I think that they, on the offensive end, maybe need to take a little bit more time off the clock with each offensive possession.
Greenhouse is headed to the box with another yellow card, his third of the series. So I do not believe that Hale is going to have that same shooting opportunity he just had because Lee is now in his driving lane. It would have to be flat-footed, which is a much harder shot to make.
Yeah, but we've seen crazier things.
Shooter's got to shoot, right?
I would have taken it.
Hale goes to Ross. Ross takes her space, moves the ball back behind. It's Peterson back there. They get the ball back to Ross. Womack in the game now as well. Hale could possibly shoot now. Does have some space in the lane. Fakes, pump fakes. Oh, beat before, though. A real nice attempt there, though, by Hale.
Yeah, great to take their space when it was given to them. That's what you need to do against these zone defenses.
Skura in a semi-transition. Harrelson wears a beat from Shu. Misbeat there by Bonadio. No dodgeballs. Poland just needs to go through. Puts it right past Peterson. It's like you've talked about. These Charlotte hoop defenders just can't seem to make a stop.
I mean, you have to step out in that situation. If you're just standing there in a no dodgeball situation, it's going to be an easy goal every time. It's what Baylor learned all those years ago when their dodgeball dominance wasn't as strong as it was originally. And it's something that these teams need to learn now.
Yeah, the Greenhouse penalty has ended. Boston going +1 in his absence, which is something Charlotte couldn't afford. Already down 7, now down 8. Collier looking to press. Hale is going to be in the lane. Collier actually loses their dodgeball. There's one dodgeball on the near side of the field, so it's just one per team here. Bonadio and Lee have them. And now we're going to get a stoppage. Advantage has abated. We have to talk over, I assume, another foul in the beater game.
Yeah, I think this was Collier potentially not hearing a beat call, which allowed for the continued play. Though we do know that the top beaters in this game do love to push the limits, see what will happen, and good job on the refs for not allowing that one to continue.
Yeah, I mean, we know Mario Nasto, one of the best ARs in the sport, and sometimes, like you said, these top beaters are always pushing the limits. He does tend to catch those moments. It is going to be a timeout for Charlotte as they look to get back into this one. Down 8, but another power play. Probably, I think they're 4th or 5th of the game already.
Yeah, and I mean, even looking ahead a little bit, I think Boston, let's be honest, we don't necessarily see Charlotte as the number one threat to an East Division title on the card, though they are a phenomenal team, as shown by taking Boston to the next goal win scenario in Game 1. What do you think they have to clean up looking forward?
So, I mean, I think it does start with this foul situation. I mean, the cards are fast and loose. I would have to estimate they have 12 or 13 in this series. I don't have the scorecards in front of me, unfortunately. That's a piece of it. Half-court offense is definitely going to be a piece of it. And then getting back in transition, because I think Boston's really benefited from those tired Charlotte legs not trying to get out and run against them as much, but they were doing some work in that part of the game in Games 1 and Game 2.
Yeah, and I think on the other side of the ball, looking at Charlotte, I think they'll have to figure out their zone rotations much better, especially if they're going to play with these aggressive beaters. You can't just stand at hoops. It'll be goals every time against these teams with drivers that are willing to take their space. And I think they maybe need to learn how to be calm in transition. A lot of their transition opportunities have either been wide open goals, or when they're not, they tend to push the pace a little bit too fast for themselves and create turnovers.
Yeah, and on the Charlotte's side, we've kind of seen a hoops defense we weren't that excited with before on this very field a year ago. As Womack, though, pushes right through. Really nice take there by Womack, who had a big Game 1 and a quiet Game 2 for this team.
Definitely a drawn-up play there from Charlotte. The heavy engage by Bonadio allowed for that drive.
Yeah, Charlotte's been great on their drawn-up plays out of timeouts. Lee Hodge is hitting on all cylinders, not just on the field, but also as a coach.
Yeah, I'd love to see it more, even from these stoppages, just have an idea set up for if we have these balls, this is what we're doing.
Yep, Beckman with the ball on the far side. Currently being marked, I believe that's by Hale. Lawrence zips it over to Olazaba. Olazaba just floats one through the middle hoop. Again, it's just too easy for Boston as Olazaba gets his first of Game 3.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to play a zone, you can't give up shots like that, and part of that is definitely the tired legs of Charlotte.
Womack checks back in with the quad ball.
Boston finally playing the mark defense they are so comfortable playing.
But doing it without dodgeball control, which is not an easy thing to do. Exchange taken there by Collier and Goldberg. It's going to be no dodgeballs for Boston. Ball goes over to Hale. Hale needs to get by Lawrence. Does so. Gets it over to Ross. Not sure who's going to get credit with the goal. We'll give it to Ross here. And Beckman now looking to run it the other way in transition. Dodgeballs are flying everywhere on the field. And we get a stoppage. And it's another illegal screen from Boston. Just adding to those card totals for this team.
I like what Charlotte did against that mark defense, though. Consistent off-ball movement while the players attack from the other side, allowing for those openings. And if you're going to play a mark defense, you have to keep track of your mark.
So Hale has it again now. Yet another power play opportunity. So I don't think we'll see Mark in this scenario. Though in a way we kind of are. Interesting defense here from this team. Hale has the ball on the near side.
Mayer's sinking into the zone a little bit. No, pushing out.
Yep. Ball goes across to Womack. Womack trying to get by Mayer. And does. Mayer got distracted there, I think, a second. Womack, though, gets wrapped up by Olazaba, and Beckman's going to fall on the ball. Good defense from Boston there without much dodgeball support. And now Olazaba's going to try to go end-to-end. There are no dodgeballs back. Beckman has it. Uses a screen. And once again, Boston is going to score without a player.
I love the screen there immediately after getting rid of the ball. Oftentimes, if you get rid of the ball, you're left unmarked because they're scrambling to make the change.
And now Beckman just looking to force a turnover. I think might have done it. Oh, Beckman, though, can't get the mid-range to go. I did hear the bench calling for Beckman to find his pass. Maybe a distractory technique, but if not, his coach are going to have some words for him after that play.
I don't think that was a distractory technique. I think that was Beckman taking after his longtime mentor, Teddy Costa, and looking for the nutmeg.
So we are approaching the 20 minutes here. Charlotte down 8. Could really use one more goal before we get to that period. Hodge back in the game. Richard back in the game alongside Goldberg. They're up against Shu and McCready now. Up top, it's White who has it. Zips it across to Thompson. Thompson really wants a shot. Thompson can't get it to go, and there's nobody to collect the rebound. That will end the 20 minutes. 14-6 Boston. They were on a goal per minute stretch there for a while. Couldn't quite keep up that pace, but very comfortably in front and looking to complete the sweep.
Yeah, I think this is the team that is Boston arguably the deeper team in this matchup. Not even arguably, definitely the deeper team in this matchup, and that's what you need come these late game threes after hotly contested game 1 and the early part of game 2.
Now we shouldn't go. Okay, so the shot was actually tipped by Boston. It will stay with Charlotte, and because there was no possession change, that means that it will continue to be a pre-20-minute possession with Hodge picking up the ball at the back line. Hodge has some space, needs to get by Beckman. Stutter steps, shot goes high. Can Thompson keep this in play? Does, and gets by Olazaba, trying to hit the corner. Olazaba looking to engage. I think they said the shot might have gone through. No call yet. Beckman makes the wrap on Hodge. Looks like the head ref had no interest in that being called a good shot. And then one last stop by Beckman to complete this 20-minute period. Dodgeballs, though, will be with Charlotte coming out of the 20 minutes. So at least one advantage of that extended possession.
We'll see. We'll see what if they. You can get all of the goals and all of the stats on quadball.1. A great addition to the MLQ platform for this season.
Yeah, quadball.1, our live streams are also embedded there, but they also have play-by-play. In fact, I can literally follow along with this extended delay. It is currently 60-60. If you're listening to us, we've got a fun series of games here as well. I think Charlotte has really given Boston, I think, everything it had in this series. I think even with the sweep, Charlotte has a lot to hold their heads high about.
Yeah, and we apologize for the technical difficulties. We are near an airport, and sometimes cell signal traffic does get a bit congested. We're doing our best over here for you. All games will be uploaded. These are being recorded, and they will be placed cleanly on our YouTube channel, which is where you can find everything now for Major League Quad Ball. If you want to check out the other games, Detroit, Minneapolis is going on now, and we have
a lot of old versus young. It's very much a theme in this season. New Orleans, we've talked so much about that beating core, about all the strategies that they have, adding in Ben Mertens as well this year as their coach. It's going to be a fun one. But we do still have a series to finish up here, and it is a 7-goal margin, 14-7, set score of 20 here. Chris LeComp about to get us started. Marianas has done an excellent job for us as a flag runner so far in the series. Davis and Bento will get the starts at Seeker. LeComp's having a couple last conversations with his refs before we get started. Ball will be with Boston to start. Olazaba hands it off to Lawrence. Goldberg wins an exchange with Shu immediately. Beats out Lawrence immediately. It's going to be White picking the ball up. Gets it over to Thompson. Taylor Crawford is man-marking Lee Hodge. Thompson gets immediately wrapped. Gets the ball over to White. White's going to be tracked by Lawrence, and Shu's just going to clean things up. A big beat there by Goldberg. Again, these beaters are doing a great job of keeping an eye on the quad ball game. Thompson floats one. Really nicely done. Adeline Morris goes up high and puts it through.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we talked about when the set score situation happened was a while ago now, was the ability to flip between quad ball and dodgeball game, and those Charlotte beaters just did that excellently.
Yeah, Richard makes a nice block to at least be able to get Bento out of the game, though can't quite get dodgeball control out of it. Skura is being patient here. Doesn't really see Lebov coming. Does get the floater, though, off to Greer. Oh, Taylor Crawford gets stuffed at the hoops by Thompson. He's going to try his luck again. No, this time he's going to let Doyle do it. Thompson shuts the door again. Hodge now stepping out to Doyle. One more try. Can Crawford do it this time? Gets Thompson up high with a pump fake and puts it through. Learns his lesson.
Yeah, I mean, you would hope so. After both of those excellent blocks by Thompson, then Boston's going to have to put their hand through the hoop, I think, on the next play down. 4
goals on the game as Lee Hodge zips one. Oh, can't quite get that one to go. Hodge was looking in the direction of Melissa Ross, but the pass was a little low. And now the long floater all the way to Doyle. Doyle gets a nice, easy one. He has 4. Crawford has 4. Boston now just needs 4 more goals. Hodge, they're looking to go end to end. Trying to go through the whole team. Doesn't even really have any support yet. Ross now in the play finally. Morris has it on the near side. Morris behind to Woodard. Skura's going to step out to Woodard. Patience here. Morris gets sent back to Hoops. Oh, it's a floater. Ross goes high. Ross to Morris. Morris gets knocked down by Skura. I think there's going to be a conversation in the quad ball game. No, sorry, I think there was a conversation about a catch. Boston now planning out whether it's going to be worthwhile to fast break. They only need 4 more goals to win this one.
So no dodgeballs in the game. That's allowing time for the Boston Chasers to close out and play defense.
Skura trying to get by Morrison, does so. Next up would be Woodard. Does do that as well. Doyle just pushing defenders out of the way. Hodge, though, trailing, trying to keep a hand in front of the hoop. Finally gets a wrap on Skura. Finally strips Skura. Skura is now on the ground. Doyle is able to pick it up. Hodge is really doing everything for this team, but now goes to Crawford. Crawford going to try his luck at a dunk again. This time gets it to go. 13 goals on the day for Taylor Crawford.
Having himself a day.
Beckman's going to get an opportunity here on Mario Nasta, but Cody Lebov clears. Hodge bringing the ball down. 3 more goals now only needed for Boston. Goes on the wing to Harrelson. Harrelson, patience, gets one high to Woodard. Woodard wins the battle for it with Delk. Tries to slip one in there. Hodge comes up with a loose ball. Really nice work there on Hodge on the 50-50 ball. Gets down to it, puts the goal away.
A great tackle there by Hodge.
Oh, and then the lazy pass. Woodard's going to be first to it. Can he beat Skura? Gets around Skura. Now just needs to beat Delk. Oh, I think Skura might have gotten away with his hit there from behind. Woodard can't get it to go. But, yeah, the pure amount of effort Lee Hodge has put into this series cannot be overstated. We do have a seeker down over on the far side. I think it is Ryan Davis.
Hodge laying down now on the floor, or on the turf, should be said, and continuing to put this team on his back, playing defense even after a huge shift throughout this game.
Yeah, Hodge deserves the rest. Hodge is probably looking at a 12-hour night of sleep after this one.
Unclear if he's on a plane ride back down to the Charlotte area tonight, but if he is, he will sleep well on that flight. And
the convenience of the Boston home stadium is it's about as close to the airport as you possibly could be. I don't know if we've actually seen any planes fly across the background today, but it's not uncommon.
The T-stop, the train stop, is actually labeled airport, and we can see it from where we're sitting.
Yeah. You'd think you'd give some kind of home field advantage to the Aviators, but not to be so far. They have not yet picked up a game at East Boston Memorial Stadium. Bonadio, first seeker we've seen so far that wasn't Ryan Davis, now getting a chance at Mario Nasta. As Skura brings the ball down. Hodge does get beat out. Floater. Oh, Zach Doyle can't come down with that one. Harry Greenhouse back to Doyle. Doyle, the bat across to Delk. So calm and composed from Doyle, and nice finish there from Delk.
That's what Doyle does around the hoops. If it's not finishing the goal, it's finding a teammate with an even better opportunity.
Just 2 more goals here now needed for Boston to complete the sweep. And there is a loose ball down. Lee Hodge pushing players off. It is going to be a pile up. See what beater comes to clear it first, or can Tyler Beckman just end things before getting a lot of time here. Greenhouse has the ball. Greenhouse coming down. It's been so effective in transition. Finds Bertram. Bertram tries to go end to end. No, a really, really nice block there.
Their hoops defenses, it'll be a good look for Charlotte for the future. And we may have a grab here by Charlotte's Bonadio.
Bonadio coming up with the grab, giving Charlotte a little bit of life. And we talk about those Boston flag runner struggles. It's going to be another 0-catch series for the Forge.
And the thing that's interesting about it is often so reliable plenty of time.
Yep. Still, even with the grab, it's a very good situation for Boston. They need 2. Charlotte does need 6. It's a loose ball on the ground. I think it'll probably just end up in a pile-up unless Bertram can do something special here. Yeah, Hodge is able to get it. It is going to be keeper ball. It's going to be no dodgeballs for a bit here as Shu chooses to make a play for dodgeball control. Hirsch is beat out of the play. We're going to get a stoppage. Beater's on the far side. I feel like the beater interaction was on the near side, so not sure what the conversation is going to be.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yep.
There it is.
No call on the play. Fine. One more pass picked off by Skura. Now Skura gets to run in transition. Woodard beat out of the play. Hirsch, the only dodgeball back. A floater. Doyle in the air. Doyle finishes. One more goal here. It's 5 for Doyle in game 3.
And that's what Doyle continuing to run in transition, continuing to play off ball. The Skura-Doyle connection is real, and we haven't seen it since.
In that position as well. As we see a press here from Landillman. Pass goes behind to Peterson. Peterson gets wrapped by Bertram. Loose ball. It is going to be picked up by Olazaba and then handed off to Greenhouse. One more goal in the trusted hands of Harry Greenhouse. Can they put this one away? Skura on the wing. Through. Skura takes Boston home here in game 3, completing the sweep. Boston Forge, a big 3-0 win for the program as they start their campaign, looking to get back to a championship position that I think a lot of people are doubting whether they can get to.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted more from Skura after game 1. He definitely delivered in games 2 and 3, being a scoring option, consistently assisting, and really taking over the game when they needed him.
Yeah, in total, it was a 9-goal day for Skura. It was an 8-goal day for Doyle, and it was a 13-goal day for Taylor Crawford. The 3 of them really composing so much of this team's offense.
Yeah, I mean, we saw them all come out on the starting line to start game 3. I expect to see more of that as this team continues to look forward for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and on the other side, obviously I think injuries took its toll, but you can't shortchange just how much Lee Hodge put out on the field today. And as well as, some of this team's younger players like Braxton Hale, who I thought performed very well. Matt Shaw before he went out with the injury. And so it'll be fun to see this team grow as the season goes on.
Yeah, I think it's a very exciting team. I think that the LeBeau-Richard pair provides an excellent baseline for this team. They continue to play at a very high level, and we'll see where they go from here.
That'll do it for us here in Boston. Boston completing the sweep. We encourage you to churn over right now to our Minneapolis-Detroit series, a close matchup here that is past the 20-minute mark. in Game 1 with 2 games left to play. And like we said, the nightcap tonight between Austin and League City at 8 p.m. Eastern. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We will see you next week for our Series of the Week down in New Orleans, where the New Orleans Curse will take on the San Antonio Soldados. For Nick Jablonski and myself and all of MLQ, we hope you take care and have a good night.
Quadball is a sport that integrates aspects from rugby, basketball, and dodgeball to create a fast-paced, mixed-gender game that features 7 players per side. Okay, so quadball is played on a grass or turf field with 3 hoops of varying heights on each team's half. There's 4 balls in quadball, 1 quaffle, and 3 bludgers, and the players run with brooms between their legs and must complete all the play while on broom. If a player comes off broom at any point, they have to tag the center hoop on their team's half before resuming play. Alright, so there's a lot of different positions. The first 2 are chasers and keepers, known together